Azali mwana ya Zai Toyebani na kati ya Zai Surtout na Lubumbashi Ofanyo sobasi bakolukata Kasi eloko nini yokoluka o Mama Ngalula Mama Ngalula Ngalula Mama Ngalula
It's time to say what's up. Welcome to another exciting edition of the program Ashford Garley Live on this beautiful Monday night in Detroit, Michigan. Oh man, it feels great to be back home. Mr. Raymond Clark, Stone Partner. Oh man. Yeah, I'm telling you folks, we've got lots of goodies in store for you tonight. Of course, we're going to have the ever powerful Martin K. and Garley tonight. And the political strategist, Mr. Steve Boland, will also be in the building tonight, folks. I'm telling you. So you might just want to already begin taking your seats here in VIP as we get ready for you. And I feel great because I'm feeling good about myself now, you know. And I'm going to share that with you as well. You know, I started doing something different from the last 3 weeks, almost to a month. And it's finally paying off, you know. I've decided to slow down on the alcohol. I've also decided to cut out eating rice completely, you know. And then I picked up a gym membership, you know. I'm doing that 5 miles. I'm running 5 miles every day. You know, and don't eat late at night and drink a gallon of water every day, you know, and it turns out it is working for me, you know. And some of the kids who are in the late 20s and 30s, you 31, 35-year-old, and you call me big brother, then you got a big stomach hanging in front of you. Listen, I'm going to start taking you to task. If a 51-year-old man, let me stand so you can see my belly. Belly gone, no more stomach. You see here? In just under a month, a 51-year-old man, stomach gone. You know what it means to be walking around when you are 40 pounds overweight? It's like you taking 40 pounds in your hand and carrying it everywhere you go. It's not healthy. Now, garbage in, garbage out. We have got to be very careful what we put into our bodies now, you know. And I gotta give credit to the wife too, because she's cooking a lot of healthy food, and whether I like it or not, she, you know, I'm gonna have to deal with it. And it turns out it's working out for me, you know, and which is a good thing. And I'm hoping that we all can do this, you know, and take control of our own body, you know. But it has to start from motivation, and motivation alone cannot do it. You have to be first a motivator, and then secondly, you gotta have the discipline. Don't say, you know what, I'm slowing down and I'm drinking today, and then the next day they see you with a fifth of Hennessy or a gallon of wine. No, it's not gonna cut it. You gotta still focus. Motivation first, then discipline. And I tell you what, motivation plus discipline equals fitness, you know, and good health. You need to do that. And don't just eat because you see food. You know, eat when you are hungry. Because some of us, who soon we see food, whether we're hungry or not, ready to eat. No, don't do that. You know, because you as a man, if you can stand up and look down and can't see your manhood, then you need a gym membership. You as a man, if you can't bend down and tie your own shoestrings, then you need a gym membership. You know, You as a man, if you stand up and low down and can't see your belt buckle, then you need a gym membership. Those are some of the things that you need to be thinking about. As we begin the show today, I just want to give you a little bit of inspiration and motivation so that you can take charge of your own health. It's very important. Look, I interact with folks in the early 20s, the late 20s, the early 30s, and late 30s. Guess what? They're all on dialysis. The kidneys are all messed up because of some controlled substances. We've got to be careful what we put in our body. Listen, man, you want to smoke weed? That's not a bad thing. But visit Jamaica. In some of the inner cities, when you see the thing, you see that they're not just all weed. They got all kinds of things in the thing. And when you continue to take in those substances, by the time you reach in your 30s or 40s, the next thing you know, you're looking for dialysis clinic. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And just look around you in the inner city. Look around you. You see McDonald's a walking distance. Kentucky Fries a walking distance. Popeye chickens, Wendy's. Now when you go far in the suburbs, you get to see the real healthy food. What does that say to you? They are trying to kill us, the black folks, so to give us all the unhealthy foods around the neighborhood. Oh, then you start thinking, dang, dog, I can't believe you can walk, get up and walk and see McDonald's. You get up and walk and see Kentucky Fried. I can't believe all of this happening. It's because they want to kill us, the black folks. And we've got to wake up and smell the coffee. Don't just take garbage and put it into the body. When you take open a can of Pepsi, you see how the stuff will be forming. It's toxic. You put it in your body. You got to be very careful. Make water your best friend. I have kissed the water in my car. I've been thirsty, I drink water. And that's just my newfound hobby. Get up. How many of you can get up 4:45, 5 o'clock in the morning with the kind of motivation and discipline and go to the gym? I do that every day. 4:45 in the morning, I wake up, warm my car for 15 minutes, get in my car, go to the gym, and run 5 miles every day. I guarantee you, if you start to do that, you will see results, positive results too. The notion is when you get big stomach in Liberia, then you enjoy it, then you're big shot. No, think about it the other way around. Please, we need you around. We need you around, and so that we all be in the fight together as we help pray for Mama Liberia. And folks, having said that, just so you know, this is yours truly, the giant, the brother who doesn't eat iron, but he's definitely stronger than a lion. That's what they call him, Ashford, the giant Garley. I'm your host tonight, and we're going to be playing host at the halftime tonight. We're going to have the activist, Martin K. and Coley, and of course the political strategist, Mr. Steve Bowley. They are both going to be my guests tonight at halftime. We're going to be talking about the 9 All Blocks that's up for grabs. We'll also talk about the future of the Vice President, Joel Howard Taylor, with the CDC. And then we'll also talk about the IJG asking the ICC to interrogate or investigate Jefferson Coaching for possible crimes against humanity. Now, the political football game has taken a different direction tonight. George Weah has become a dictator. So, as a matter of fact, the game that you're going to see tonight, you will not see any opposition. You will not see any COP. George Weah has instructed the immigration. George Weah has instructed the NSA. George Weah has instructed the Liberia National Police. George Weah has instructed the Ministry of Justice to make sure that no COP member plays tonight on the football field. So it's going to be George Weah and his inner circle. They are going to be the only one playing tonight on the football field. Something that is very strange. This man has become a dictator in just under 2 years of his presidency. This is not fair for Liberia. This is not fair for the people of Liberia. Folks, I'm telling you, I saw something on the football field just now that I wish to share with you as we get ready for this all-important political soccer game tonight. Share the video, invite a few friends, grab something to drink, brace yourselves, and let's together have a great time tonight. All right. And as we get ready to get signal from the officials, Daniel Clee acting positively his work. Okay, yeah. We'll also see the Nunfo Hebron permit. Great advice, she says. Then we see my longtime friend Tommy Jala. And we're going around in VIP to see who we got here tonight. Mona Lisa Morris, as always, prayers without work is dead. And she says, Nixon Nimley is also here watching from Australia. It's been a long time, my brother Nixon. Welcome to the show. Listen, we have about 89 people here. If you just invite 89 more people from your friend list, guess what? We are going to be here in numbers because we got some interesting political soccer game for you here tonight. We got Akba Mobodo. He said, hello, I have been at the gate waiting since yesterday. Thanks for opening. Okay. And we'll also see Mr. Joseph Cheer out of London. Then we see the Daniel Cleed against him as the God that prayer works. Let's continue to pray for our nation and act positively. And then we'll also see the faithful political demon. Good morning from my end. Where are you? Tell us where you are. And we'll also see the Garment Cooper is also in the building. And Josephine Hammer, James Finney. We'll also see my dietitian, Mrs. Eloise Garley, the woman that is responsible, making sure I'm eating healthy. You know, as you can see, in just under 3 weeks, my face all dropping now. I am transforming even your naked eyes in no time. You know, and I didn't have to do much because, you know, I used to be active before. I just had to go back to do what I used to do back there in the gym, you know, and that's it. Cut up the eating of the bad foods and start to eat right. You start to see positive results, you know. And again, don't lose your old clothing. You know, when you start getting big, keep your old clothing because you might need them. And that's another means of motivation as well. Your old clothes, when they start getting small for you, put them down. Don't give them away. Because your goal is to refit them clothing again, you know? And that's what we managed to do. And we are slightly fitting our old clothing now. You know, you don't want to be like, T-Bird, how you doing? James, Kadima, you don't want to be the George Weah. The man plays soccer before you see the man passing around with big belly. You know? You don't want to be like Sir Joseph, them passing around the banner. They can't see the man who, they can't even tapping their own shoestrings. Young people, you know, Bill Twaway and there, young people, they can't even bend on the top of their own shoestrings. You know, they can't see the belt buckle. If you know you are 35, 40 pounds overweight, you know what you're doing? You are walking around with 40 pounds in your hand everywhere you go. And the only person that can do something about it is you. You know, sometimes my wife gets angry with me. She says, you country fat ugly ass. You know, I know our country, I know our ugly, you know. And but one thing I would disagree with, when she said fat ass, when she said fat, I say, you know what, I gotta do something about being fat. Because there were times where I couldn't breathe. You know, because they say red wine is good for the heart, it doesn't mean you should take a whole gallon of red wine and drink it the same day. You know, you gotta take charge of your own body. With that said, folks, the officials are calling us, and we're going to bring you the lineup for the team now. And tonight, like we said, George Weah has instructed his security apparatus to not allow COP or any opposition to come on the field. The immigration all in place. So we're going to go tonight and read out the lineup for the team tonight on the football field. Firstly, the officials. Last band number 1 is the Senate. Last band number 2, House of Representatives. And of course, the referee is the Supreme Court of Liberia, while the March Commissioner is U.S. Congressman Chris Smith. And for the lineup tonight, folks, I'm telling you, it'll be very interesting. We have George Opon-Manawea. We also have Samuel Toy. We have Musa Dan, Nathaniel McGill, Eugene Nangwe. We also have Joy Howard Tiller. And we have Bill Twaway, we have Sam Blue, and we also have Akaris Gray and Molba Molo. We also have DEA. Then we have the LNP, the Liberia National Police. Then we have the NSA. We also have immigration. Then we got possible impeachment. We have drugs abuse, prostitution. We also have alcoholism, womanizer, critical thinker, nation of protest. Then we have peppermint and chicle. We also have dictatorship. Then we have biological president. We have stupidicians. We also have Ebola. We have Boyo. We have hard time, unemployment, WPO, Wicked People Organization. Then we have provocation. We also have suppression, death squad, hypocrisy, harassment, police brutality. Then we have police water truck, aka tsunami. We have statutory rapist. Then we have murder. We also have witch hunt, nepotism, abuse of power, false promises. Then we have illegal arrest, wasteful spending, corruption, selective justice, human rights abuse, money laundering, excessive force. What? They think not easy tonight. Then we have borrowing initiative, domestic terrorists. The all players tonight on the field of play, folks. I'm telling you, no opposition, no COP. George Weah has instructed his security apparatus that there will be no opposition on the field tonight. Only George Weah and his clique are going to play the football game tonight, and you watch what happened tonight. Invite a few friends. Let's together have fun tonight. Brace yourself, folks. I'm telling you, you are in for a big-time political circle with yours truly, your chief commentator, Ashford the Giant Garley. Let's have fun. The ball is now in the middle of the field, folks. And I see the referee and linesmen on both ends of the field. VIP is so jammed. Over 40,000 people here in VIP tonight. On this game today, George Weah decides what happens and what doesn't. He's the man. He has become dictator in just under 2 years of his presidency in Liberia. Liberia is in trouble. George Weah is on the ball. George Weah connects selective justice. Selective justice back to George Weah. George Weah to human rights abuse. Human rights abuse back to George Weah. George Weah to excessive force. Excessive force back to George Weah. George Weah to D-hole cover hole. D-hole cover hole back to George Weah. George Weah to corruption. Corruption to selective justice. Selective justice to wasteful spending. Wasteful spending back to George Weah. On to illegal arrest. Illegal arrest back to George Weah. The game is not easy today. I'm telling you, folks. With just 15 minutes going in this game, no score to Liberia. Play-by-play description this afternoon at the SKD Sports Complex. The ball comes to police brutality. Police brutality looks around to harassment. Harassment to hypocrisy. Hypocrisy to death squad. Death squad to suppression. Suppression to provocation onto George Weah. George Weah to unemployment. Unemployment back to George Weah. George Weah looks around to hard time. Hard time back to George Weah. George Weah to Boyo. Boyo back to George Weah onto Ebola. Ebola back to George Weah. George Weah to selective justice onto Musa Din. Musa Din back to George Weah. Folks, I'm telling you, Ghana East today, a one-man show. When African men say power sweet, power is rather sweet. And George Weah is exhibiting that power is rather sweet. He's not looking to leave power anytime soon. So everything now will belong to George Weah as we play this all-political soccer game tonight at the SKD Sports Complex. The ball comes to George Weah. George Weah to Joey Howard-Taylor. Joey Howard-Taylor back to George Weah. George Weah is moving deep in the head of to D-hole cover hole. D-hole cover hole to Sabu Unit. Sabu Unit, a.k.a. domestic terrorist. Domestic terrorist back to George Weah. George Weah to excessive force. Excessive force back to George Weah onto immigration. Immigration back to George Weah. He's moving deep in the head of the field. The ball comes to Nathaniel McGill. Nathaniel McGill back to George Weah. George Weah to Musa Din. Musa Din back to George Weah. George Weah is moving deep in the head of the field. He connects police brutality. Police brutality to suppression. Suppression to death squad. Death squad to WPO back to George Weah. George Weah to unemployment. Will he make it? No, he doesn't. The game has come to a momentary standstill. The ball is offside now. And the referee, the Supreme Court of Liberia, is calling on the Senate and the House of Representatives, and they are saying anything George Weah said what will happen. When they felt they impeach George Weah, might not even agree. George Weah will be president for life. That's what I'm seeing right now. But in the meantime, we have our local correspondent in Liberia, Mr. Habiba Clinton. Clinton, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good day, Ashford. Good day, everyone.
How's Liberia, my man? And how's the weather down there tonight?
Our situation here, as it relates to the weather, is kind. And you know, in Liberia, this kind of time, everybody is in bed.
Wow. Well, bring us up to speed. What is going on? What is unfolding in Liberia right now?
Well, let's just begin with some political trending issues. The legislature returned to section, that's the third section, on Monday. But what was seen there at the Capitol was that the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia did not attend that ceremony. And as usual, when before the ceremony began, the flag of the Republic of Liberia will be posted up and 8 o'clock. And at that moment where you will find the Vice President, the Speaker, and the President pro tempore, they all going to be lined up to salute the flag. But what was seen that this Monday morning that the Vice President did refuse to attend the ceremony. And what we gathered from there was that she was totally dissatisfied on numbers of issues. One there was allotment for 2019-2020 budget. 2018-2019 budget. She had not been able to receive about 25% of that budget. And money that will be slashed from her budget. The president, the wife, and the speaker, the president pro tem, were not affected. Why? That's a big question. And according to information gathered, for the past 6 months, staffers of the vice president's office have not been paid, and she experienced numerous of constraints. So I think she tried to surface this now through a slow protest.
So, in other words, it is alleged now that she's not receiving a lot of benefits, and staff members from the office have not gotten paid for several months down, and based on that, so it means that she's protesting as well, correct?
Well, that's what we see, because she did not attend that the ceremony, and why Brother Chimmer was able to put some men together during the early part of the morning time to go and meet the vice president and solicit from her as to why she's not attending. And those are some of the things that she brought out according to what we gather from the speakers of Chimbre.
So they're protesting thing that Henry Costa has taken to another level. You know, Henry Costa that protest can come. I mean, everybody now is protesting. I mean, the vice president is here. I mean, she's supposed to be the head of the Senate. She doesn't show up on the first day. Would you be surprised if we don't see the vice president on the day where the president speaks? That's next Monday.
Well, that's the biggest thing in town, more especially from the mouths of political pundits. They are saying if the vice president cannot attend this during ceremony, and they foresee that next week she may not be part of the State of the Nation's address program at the Capitol. I will wait to see what will be the outcome of that, because since her absence, nothing has been said from the side of the executive. From what I see.
What IJG is asking the International Criminal Court to investigate Jefferson Koji. What do you know so far?
Well, I did follow that release, and as I speak to you, Ashford, the International Court of Justice based in Washington has sent a letter to the ICC directly to the chief prosecutor in person, Ms. Fatou Bensouda. And that letter, according to what I read, the Information and Evidence Unit also received the letter pretending the activities surrounding the actions of City Mayor Jefferson Koji. And this is not a surprise. It had not come by surprise. I think from early back 2019 December, we received a release from the scene group, and backed up by Honorable Chris Smith of the U.S. Congress, who did alarm that the Liberian government activities into protecting or maybe fairly into the protest will be keenly looked at. And they found out that or mentioned that Jefferson Koji had been involved in too many activities, which of course is a total violation of human rights and totally against the Roma statutes. So the ICC is a body that Liberia is signatory to. So some of those things that are happening that, of course, is not of good to any human treatment. What being perceived here, whereas people being sometimes tortured and sometimes people are selectively, are grabbed, and sometimes the way prosecution go through the various codes are not too satisfactory to other people, and that sometimes people are flogged overnight and they arrest and also torture. All of those things are what we perceive and heard most of the time as some of those things that have been mentioned in a particular release. So we don't know what will be the response of government towards this release, but the letters have already been sent to the ICC in The Hague.
The experts will be coming on shortly at halftime. Mr. Martin K. and Garley and Mr. Steve Bowley. Liberian politicians really know how to confuse the minds of the locals. There's no head noted for the 15 or 16 billion Liberian dollars. There's still no head noted for the 25 million United States dollars. Now we're hearing about 9 oil blocks up for grabs under President George Weah. How do you respond?
Well, that is in the know of this government, and the government has tried to persuasively convince people as it relates to why these blocks should be sold, but that have not come to a public scrutiny yet. It was just of some few days back when talk show host Henry Costa, who is chairing the Council of Patriots, the position that this was not be fair, would not be in the interest of the Liberian people, and those blacks that are to be sold are very key and hyper-basing, and this block 25 to 33, which of course when they are sold, it will seriously affect the Liberian people, and they will not benefit the funding. And what we heard and also follow up, which of course we have not really gotten the authenticated fight, what has something to do with all of the agreement and also the persuasive positions to giving these blocks away. The president we heard that he got maybe 2 of the blocks, he got some percentage from there, but we don't know really yet how true is that, because most of the time political appointees are sometimes very key into some of those things, and people wait to see the evidence as it relates to what they do say.
The voice of our local correspondent from Liberia, Mr. Habiba Clinton. Thank you so much. Stay put as we now go back on the field of play. Back to the field of play. The ball comes to money laundering. Money laundering to human rights abuse. Human rights abuse to selective justice. Selective justice to Akaras Moses Gray, a.k.a. Opion King Kong. Opion King Kong to corruption. Corruption back to George Weah. George Weah back to corruption. Corruption to wasteful spending. Wasteful spending back to George Weah. George Weah to illegal arrest. Illegal arrest back to George Weah. George Weah beats someone, puts him on the table. The ball comes to Molba Molu. Molba Molu back to George Weah. Joshua Bishop to drugs abuse to possible impeachment. Impeachment looks around to immigration back to George Weah. George Weah to NSA back to George Weah. George Weah to Liberian National Police back to George Weah back to NSA. George Weah is instructing NSA now to carry guns and put it in Yeka Kuluba car and lie on Yeka Kuluba and say you have guns. How possible can that be? Before you enter the square, vehicle searched, they never found any gun, and all of a sudden, guns just reappear. After you search the car, after the protest, and relocate the car to the police headquarters, the next thing you know, you find guns. What a shame on this government. They ain't even know the last set. back to dictatorship. Dictatorship back to George Weah. George Weah to biological president. Biological president back to George Weah. George Weah to stupidation. Stupidation back to George Weah. George Weah to Weabola. Weabola back to George Weah. Onto Boyo. Boyo back to George Weah. Onto hard time. Hard time to corruption. Corruption to unemployment. Unemployment back to George Weah. He's moving deep in the field. But he make it no. The boy is way off target. Making him no trouble now. Back to the field of play. The ball comes to false promises. False promises to abuse of power. Abuse of power looks around to nepotism. Nepotism back to George Weah. George Weah back to witch hunt. Witch hunt back to George Weah. George Weah to murder. Murder back to George Weah. George Weah to police brutality. Police brutality back to George Weah. George Weah is moving deep in the heart of the field. The ball comes to harassment. Harassment back to George Weah. George Weah to hypocrisy. Hypocrisy back to George Weah. George Weah to death squad. Death squad back to George Weah. George Weah back to death squad. Death squad back to George Weah. Onto Nathaniel McGill. Nathaniel McGill back to death squad. You have ex-rebels that are enjoying the comfort of this government. Ofori Dia, Augustine Nangwe, aka General Power, Siafa Norman. These are all mass murderers. Now are working with the government through Sensayan. I've interacted with Sensayan before. I mean, he begged us many times just to appear on our show, claiming that he was a professional security expert. But this guy is very dangerous for Liberia. In fact, two of them. Sensayon say he wants to see me dead. And then another guy from Philadelphia, now in Liberia, calls me his enemy. You know, we have a mutual friend, and I was on the phone to Liberia with this guy. And Jones Blamo, picking Jones Blamo, is telling this other friend of ours, no, don't be talking to Ashford. Ashford is our enemy. Oh, we talk about corruption. We talk about wasteful spending. Then we enemy now? We enemy? Hey, that nonsense you're doing to our picking Costa, you can't try that nonsense on me. Because maybe, look, I got your Liberian passport, but when I go into Liberia, I will make sure I go to the Liberian embassy, get my Liberian visa, and go to Liberia with my U.S. passport, and the American government will know that I'm in Liberia. I don't even hang around you anyway. I got a car parked in Liberia. Nobody using it. My wife will come and she just parked the car and brought the car key. I don't even hang around. You don't even see me. And I know better. I call not my friend anymore than that. So the evil plans that you have against me, you better be careful. You might end up dying before me. You live in a country in the 21st century where if you can't get any medical attention, you will end up dying. Then you call me enemy. Do I look an enemy to you? Nobody hates George Weah. We want him to do the right thing. This man came to power stealing from the Liberian people. You know, there's a possibility that they might have some commercial usage for the now all blacks. And that would be good for the country. But what would be George Weah's intention? It is alleged that the man is already thinking about having share, 50% share in two of the oil blocks. As though the money he already stole not enough. The country is broke today because of George Weah. They're not enough. But you want to go after critics. You want to go after critical voices. Is that what you plan to do? Sam Sion, bring it on. You want to see me kill? Bring it on, brother. Jones Blamo, you call me your enemy? Bring it on. When we went to Liberia to open Spoon FM and Spoon TV, we went to the NSA always and put money in your pocket. Jones Blamo, you work for George Weah. He's not paying you enough. George Weah wants everything for himself. They're kind of irresponsible and useless government. You are targeting Liberians, calling them your enemies. Back to the field of play. The ball comes to false promises to abuse of power to nepotism, nepotism to witch hunt to murder, murder to rape to police brutality, on to murder back to death squad. This other stupid low boy that I have to make, he's the Deputy Minister of Information at the Ministry of Information. He said Henry Costa will soon die. Eugene Fangon, and your ass will soon die like market dog, and fly will eat your body all over the place. I know y'all saw something going on Facebook You know, some exchanges between me and Eugene Fangon. It was something that happened a little over 2 years ago during the campaign. Politics is politics. When you intellectually discuss politics, that's fine. And my wife is very smart, and she could take them guys when it comes to politics. So this time she was in some exchange with Eugene Fangon, and all the woman was doing was promoting her political party. And with the lack of better words, all Eugene Fangon started doing, he started insulting my wife. And usually my wife would tell me, I can handle this. And all my friends are calling my man, you gotta put Eugene in check. So my wife called me and said, baby, I want to handle this man. And I went all out. The only reason why I exchanged with Eugene because he was not in front of me. Had Eugene Fangon been in front of me, I was going to break his jaw. With just one blow, I was going to break his jaw. If you think I'm lying, ask Michael Gilman. Michael Gilman, my daughter, who is now 18 years old. Some of the arguments spark up. He said my wife brought it better from Liberia. But they slap upon Michael Gilman's ear. From that day, he never forgot. Ask him. At the second grade church, that's 2 minutes away from where I live. Michael Gilman is 7 minutes from where I stay. I slapped the shit out of Michael Gilman. Back then, when the bill finally came, he was first in line to say, oh, but the bill that Ashford. I don't play around when it comes to my family. And my wife, she's the only thing I have. You temper with her, I will bring the whole military on at you. You don't try that nonsense. But I dealt with Eugene Fangon, and you saw the exchanges. Had he been in my face, they were going to reconstruct Eugene Fangon's jaw. Because I was going to break his jaw big time. And as Eugene Fangon, every time he sees me, whether I say anything, Eugene Fangon will never say anything about Ashford Garley because he knows this boy was on his feet begging. Ashford, I want money, I just want to be popular. Because I said, you can't put me in the radio. Mama Diakina said, you can't put me in the radio. He was so desperate. So I decided to get Eugene Fangon the opportunity. And he became my co-host on Labyrinth Talk. 2-3 months into the program, the man started talking. Oh, I get school fees. I get school fees. I said, Eugene Fangon, you offered to do the program pro bono. Why are you asking for school fee? Because when Ben and I went to Canada, they saw me in Canada. Ben and I went back to Liberia. They saw me in Liberia. All in Eugene's mind, Ben and I were buying my plane ticket. And between God and man, Look, I did more for Ben and I and the ARP. Ask anybody. You know what it means to walk away from a $10,000 a month job on the oil field? That's the kind of money we're making on the oil field. $10,000 a month. When you do overtime, you get $12,000. I asked for leave of absence. I got a rental car, flew to Canada. I drove to Canada and cut up with Ben and I. He said, small brother. And I have not seen Mr. Ure since 99. The last time I was talking was in 2014. He said, man, I need help on the campaign. We don't go asking politicians for money. We spend our own money. Every time I wear flies to Liberia, what you think buying her ticket? You think that Ben and I buying her ticket? What Ben and I did for me? Over 20 years ago, I can't pay him for that. I can't pay him for that. So it has always been my turn to reciprocate. What can I do to pay the man back? And I just did that. So we don't go asking politicians for stuff. That's why all the damn politicians around here, no. We don't want anything from them. When I bring fresh, when George Weah going to Cameroon in the 80s, we were practicing our craft. Some of you are in George Weah's pocket today. No politician will tell you, say, Ashford got this in your pocket. That's why I work hard and buy my own damn equipment. Because when I get ready to talk, nobody can tell me fuck a key. Eugene Fangon in his mind thought I was getting money now from Ure, so he saw the opportunity. When he found out that so Ure was not distributing money in line, he got frustrated and parted ways and went to the CDC. Grievous seeker, hypocrite, sycophant, go after people. When George we are in fire, you can smell it. And you can ask all around. Under the ass you had Eugene Fangon talking, said, I went funny for him club because a man sleeping with me. Hey man, I asked for Garley. All the fine women there, I've been with 10 around for men to sleep with me. You can say Ashford can blazo. Ashford this, Ashford that, but you never say Ashford been he bought down to a friend man. It's not in my DNA. I don't operate at that. If George Weah is pumping you in a bahan just for a piece of job, you should say it. But we are decent people. I have nothing against homosexual, but that's not my cup of tea. I was 12 years old when I was raped by an older woman, and ever since then, I just fell in love with the opposite sex. 12 years old. I like men better, I like woman. So Eugene, where you got your nonsense from? Carry it back there. Hey man, you like just get in and talk trash when you ain't got nothing good to talk. Decent man to me. That mean you talking about say I can bend my butt down to another man. That's my era. I don't operate at that beginning. Back to the field of play. The ball comes to D-Ho cover hold. D-Ho cover hold to George Weah. George Weah back to excessive force. Excessive force back to George Weah. George Weah is moving deep in the head of the field to human rights abuse. Human rights abuse back to George Weah. Onto selected justice. Selected justice back to George Weah. Onto Akaras Moses Gray. Akaras Moses Gray back to George Weah. George Weah beats one man. Puts it over to the man. The ball comes to Opion King Kong. Opion King Kong to corruption. Corruption back to George Weah. George Weah is moving deep in the head of the field. When he make it, the ball comes to false promises. False promises back to George Weah. George Weah has instructed the security people. Nobody from the COP should come on the field to play. Nobody from the COP should leave the country. And all that kind of thing. George Weah has everything in place. This man has become a dictator in just 2 years in the hands of the Liberian people. And that nonsense are going about the Unity Party people trying to question George Weah of oil blocks. You need to shut the hell up. Where were you when Ellen sold oil blocks around here? You were the same United Party people that enjoyed from the concessions, the bribery and everything. Today, millions of dollars squandered. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf says she takes responsibility. Madam President, where is our money? And George Weah will do the same damn thing, and fuck okay, we can't do the George Weah. Because we don't have politicians or opposition that have balls. Right now, some George Weah call them and say, hold this. They will shut them up. The people in the House of Representatives, the senator, they all have got to go. They don't love the country. You have the more indigenous in the House of Representatives, in the Senate. Corruption is still in the room. These people really don't love Liberia. Back to the field of play. The ball comes to George Weah. George Weah to nepotism. Nepotism back to George Weah. George Weah to witch hunt. Witch hunt back to George Weah. George Weah to police brutality. Police brutality back to George Weah. George Weah to harassment. Harassment back to George Weah. George Weah to hypocrisy. Hypocrisy back to George Weah. George Weah to death squad. Death squad back to George Weah. Onto suppression. Suppression to WPO, Wicked People Organization, onto unemployment to hard time to Boyo to Weabola to stupiditious, onto biological president about the dictatorship to George Weah. George Weah is moving deep in out of the field. Joy Howard Taylor is leaving the field. Joy Howard Taylor said they can't pass the ball to her. So is Joy Howard Taylor lying to her? Has she become a liar in no time? You remember when Joy Howard Taylor went to an interview with a Ghanaian pastor and said she will have to set a appointment to meet her own president. She can't say anything. She was suppressed on her own husband as president of Liberia. Joy Howard Taylor, you are vice president of the Republic of Liberia. They are raping small girls. Government officials bring small girls from up interior. These girls become their sex slaves. That George Weah stopping you from talking again. You as a woman, or child can't get to be 6, 7, can't get to be in the 6th and 7th grade. Eh? They are raping our daughters. You are the second most powerful woman in the country, the vice president. You're not saying anything. You said Joseph Human Breakout were packed for 12 years. You and Joseph Human Breakout who packed now. Oh, you complaining about benefits? When your husband chancellor was president, how many times did the Liberian people to pay? They didn't pay twice a year? July 26th and Christmas? Oh, today you're asking for pay. That now you know you won't pay? They're wicketing your debt to Liberia and the Liberian people that now you won't pay? What's the future of Joy Howard Taylor? Is she going to remove the CDC? At the halftime, we're going to be asking Steve Bowley and, of course, Martin K. and Coley back to the field of play. The ball comes to corruption. Corruption beats someone, puts him in a teammate. The ball comes to wasteful spending onto George Weah. George Weah back to wasteful spending. The ball comes to illegal arrest. Illegal arrest back to George Weah. George Weah to false promises. False promises back to George Weah. George Weah to abuse of power. Abuse of power back to George Weah. George Weah to nepotism. Nepotism back to George Weah. George Weah falls down, he get up, and George Weah passes gas. George Weah passes gas on the field, ladies and gentlemen. The man is obese. Yeah, a former soccer player, Jack passing with beast stomach, jetted after fashion. The ball comes to human rights abuse. Human rights abuse to excessive force. Excessive force works around. The ball comes to George Weah on the D-hole cover hole. D-hole cover hole by the George Weah. He moving deep in the heart of the field. The ball comes to domestic terrorists. Domestic terrorists back to Eugene Nangwe. Back to domestic terrorists on the George Weah. George Weah to selective justice. The ball comes to police brutality. Police brutality looks around to harassment. Harassment to suppression. Suppression beats women. Puts on the team. The ball comes to unemployment. To hard time. Hard time to Boyo. Boyo to Weabola. Weabola to stupiditious. On the bar, like president to dictatorship. Dictatorship moving deep in the heart of the field. He shot the ball is way off target. Oh man. Lone Star against Lone Star. George Weah said no opposition, no COP. Liberians are playing among themselves. Looking at VIP, Mr. Emmanuel Yato is on VIP along with his lovely wife, Martha George Toll. I see Tony and Seville. And we also see Emmanuel Sakard is in the building. Kim Johnson is also in the building. Folks, I'm telling you, we're bringing you play-by-play description this afternoon at the SKD Sports Complex in Painesville. Over 40,000 spectators on the field. And no score to the Liberian national team and no score to the Liberian national team. Liberia playing against Liberia because George Weah said no opposition to put forth, no COP members to put forth. He has instructed the immigration mode. Nobody leaving the country. We are in a state of emergency right now. What George Weah wants, George Weah gets. My people, the international community, Chris Smith, the rest of you guys, the rest of you people in the international scene, you please listen. Our country is in trouble. George Weah is bringing trouble in our country. He's suppressing the people. He's stealing from the country. A lot of nepotism going on, witch hunt going on. They're killing people in Liberia. George Weah, what did we do to deserve this? The ball comes to excessive force. After George Weah sat down with the United States representatives, George Weah sat down with the ECOWAS, the resident coordinator. He sat down with the United Nations people and said we'll provide security for the people. By 5 p.m., George Weah instructed Sam Sayen, Mossadegh, to move on the peaceful protesters. Dictatorship to George Weah. George Weah about the dictatorship. Wasteful spending. Wasteful spending back to George Weah. Selective justice. Selective justice back to George Weah. The First Lady Claire Weah holds a Liberian diplomatic passport. Her brother holds a Liberian diplomatic passport. Emmanuel Porter. Emmanuel Porter is Assistant Minister for Logistics at the Ministry of State. Do you know that Emmanuel Porter is selling diplomatic passport to people who are not government officials? And I know that for a fact. Because I know some of the people. You remember when George Weah brought the plenty of women to New York for the women conference? Women who are not in the government. They all got diplomatic passports. Some of them are here. They refuse to go back to Liberia. Henry Costa, for God's sake, is a Liberian. And he was in possession, according to him, with a valid travel document. You are witch hunting this young man because he disagrees with your government. Try that nonsense with me. I have a U.S. passport. Donald Trump will send a message to you when I come to Liberia later on this year. Try that nonsense with me, George Weah. You think you own a damn country? And I have no regret that I picked up the American passport. No regret. You know what it means for your father to get murdered by Prince Johnson? You know what it means for all your uncles to get murdered by Prince Johnson in one day? You know what it means for your mother to get killed by Prince Johnson, shot her 9 times? You know what it means for the follower child to kill your wet father? You know what it means? Some of you people, children have lost with a grandparent. You know what it means when my kids get up, they don't have the loss of a grandparents? People suffering. People are begging in Liberia just to survive. Then we pray and got the opportunity to change your life. My 13-year-old son can remind me and say, Daddy, it's 6 months. I need to go to see the dentist. He can tell me, say, Daddy, I need to go for a hospital visit. People in Liberia, they can't find food to eat. Grown men, grown women in Liberia, they can't find food to eat because of poverty, because of what Ellen did to us. For the support of the war, over 250,000 people died. We still can't find solution to the problem of Liberia. And we thought we were done with Ellen. How did she pay us back? By giving us the clown, George Weah, as president. When George Weah finishes with us, we'll never forget. I got people calling, asking for help. Who did you vote for? And they're proud to say, I voted for George Weah. That George Weah help you. That George Weah help you. Someone just asked for a friend request. People give you friend request. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You call them people. You won't call them on video. You won't see me having sex. That's why you call them 3 o'clock in the morning for. And you ask for a friend request. We accept your friend request. We say, okay, maybe the person here is a fan of Breach Radio. They want to see the program and they want us to communicate. Or you pick up your phone 3 o'clock in the morning, you call it video. That sex you won't see me having? Back to the field of play. The ball comes to Selected Justice. Selected Justice looks around to Akaras Moses Gray, aka Opion Kikon. Opion Kikon looks around, he beats someone, puts on the team. The ball comes to nepotism. Nepotism to abuse of power. Abuse of power to Wishon. Wishon to police brutality. Police brutality back to harassment. Harassment to hypocrisy. Onto death squad. Death squad to suppression. Suppression to unemployment. Onto hard time. Hard time to Boyo. Boyo to Wiabola. Onto stupidation. Stupidation to George Weah. George Weah back to stupidation. Stupidation to Wiabola. Wiabola back to George Weah. George Weah to Boyo. Boyo back to George Weah. George Weah to Peppermint and Chicle. Peppermint and Chicle by the George Weah. George Weah to Baloke President. Baloke President by the George Weah. George Weah to Womanizer. Womanizer by the George Weah. George Weah to alcoholism. Alcoholism by the George Weah. George Weah to drugs abuse. Drugs abuse by the George Weah. George Weah to prostitution. Prostitution by the George Weah. George Weah to excessive force. Excessive force moving deep in the out of the field onto D-Hole cover hole. D-Hole cover hole to Boring Initiative on the George Weah. He moving, he beats one man, he beats two, he beats a second. George Weah connect money laundering by the George Weah onto human rights abuse by the George Weah. He shoots, ladies and gentlemen, goal number 1 for Liberia. Goal number 1 to Liberia. Goal coming from the leg of George Weah. Through an assist from D-Hole cover hole. And for that's how we came to the end of the first half. Oh my God. George Weah alone is playing. You got Liberia against Liberia. Folks, I'm telling you, this man here wants everything for himself. This afternoon at the SKD Sports Complex, I see my lovely sister from New Jersey, Letty Brooks Roberts, is on the field. I also see Evelyn. I see Patricia Peters. Look, when you communicate with Patricia Peters, you know they're going to first woman. And I asked which school she went to. Say she went to convent. The first kid, a new stretch or first woman. Don't play with Patricia Peters. She's a no nonsense woman. She's on the field this afternoon, folks. I'm telling you, 1 goal to Liberia and nothing to Liberia. So you know, George Weah is playing again. He said he doesn't want to see the opposition. He doesn't want to see the COP. He said no member of the COP should leave the country. George Weah has now called on the state of emergency in Liberia. When you disagree with George Weah, now you're headed for trouble. You can't criticize George Weah now. George Weah, in just 2 years, got death squad now. Joshua is friends of the ex-rebel generals in Liberia, Augustine Nangbe, Oforidea, Siafa Nama. These are all his friends. And folks, now we'll now go to see if we can make contact with our special guests, Martin K. and Garley, and of course Steve Bowley. I see T-Bird. I saw T-Bird and Steve Bowley in VIP there. They're all watching the game this afternoon at the SKD Sports Complex. And folks, over 40,000 people in attendance of this game. Emmanuel Yato and his lovely wife, they're all here. Larry Kaba is also here this afternoon. Folks, I'm telling you, a lot of people. Blamo To is also on the field this afternoon, folks. I'm telling you, Roberta P. Davids, Richard is here. Francis Wilfred. And again, we are looking for somebody to read our comments, because I can't see everybody from the field, so we're looking for somebody to read the comments. And just by going through the list, Judy Ramos says she won't read the comments. And I told her, no, Judy, I got no problem with you reading the comment, but you part of CDC, so you can't read the comment. Class D also say you won't read the comment. I said, Class D, when you begin a sentence, I will start running from here to Broad Street. When I come up here, you stay struggling with that sentence that you won't come read here. You say I'm allow you to read comments here? No. But the thing is, the underlying factor here is the bulk of you people are from CDC, so we can't allow you to read the comment. We need somebody neutral, to read the comments this afternoon. And if this is the first time joining us, folks, you might want to please follow us on Bridge Radio. And we're live on the internet at BridgeRadioAfrica.com, so that the next time we come in, you will just have that instant notification. Enjoy yourselves, brace yourselves, grab something to drink as we make contact with Martin Garley and Steve Bowley. This has been yours truly, the Giant, the brother who doesn't eat iron, but he's definitely stronger than the lion. That's why they call him the Giant. We have come to the end of the first half. Stay tuned for the second and final portion of the game. But before then, we're going to bring in our two panelists. Stay tuned. I'm trying to make contact with Steve Bowley. I believe Martin is already on. Martin, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Garley, I'm here.
Okay, that's very good. I'm trying to make contact with Mr. Steve Bowley, but it seems like his line is busy. Let's see if we can make contact with him again. Mr. Bowley. We're calling him now. Why is he calling in? Oh, man. Steve, do not call. I will do the calling. Mr. Bowley, I will do the calling. Steve, please tell Steve Bowley I will do the calling, yeah? He should stop calling. Since the both of you are in VIP together. Hey, Steve.
Yes, sir.
My man, I said I will call you. I will please drop the line. I will call you because I want the conference you and Martin. Okay. Okay. Let me see if I can do this again to get Martin Garley, and then I can conference Steve. Right. Let me connect Martin again. Okay. We're waking up Martin now. And then we can get Steve as well. In the meantime, folks, sit back, relax. We're going to be talking about the 9 oil blocks. We'll also talk about the future of the vice president of the Republic of Liberia, Madam Joy Howard Tiller, with the CDC, and we'll also talk about the request from the JJ for the ICC to interrogate Mr. Jefferson Koji. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to introduce to you the political strategist, Mr. Steve Boley. He's from the state of Arizona, and the ever-powerful activist, economist, Mr. Martin K. and Garley is seeking refuge at an undisclosed location now. Gentlemen, hello and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Garley. It is always an opportunity to join you from an unknown location. Permit me to extend compliments to all Liberians in and out of Liberia, wherever you are. It is my honor tonight to share my thoughts on those topics online. And I hope I will make immense contribution and give hope to a lot of our people in country who remain hopeless as a result of bad governance and leadership breakdown. On a clueless ex-soccer star who has got zero knowledge in governance and zero vision for Liberia.
Mr. Steve Boley, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Garley. I'd like to start off by saying thanks to the Bridge Radio family. Thanks to you also for having me on. And thanks to Martin for tuning. But most importantly, I'd also thanks to the Liberian people because they're the most important people. Not forgetting, as always, I like to reaffirm, commit by saying that Liberian women are the most beautiful women on earth. And this is why, as a matter of fact, you, Mr. Garley, you married a very beautiful Liberian woman. So is all the Liberian women on here listening and those that are not listening. Thank you.
Okay, Habiba, welcome our guest. Habiba Clinton is listening in via Skype from Liberia. Welcome our guest, Habiba.
Yeah, okay. Thank you guys for being part of our online broadcast, and we hope that the discussion will be of interest for all Liberians.
Okay, now we're not going to go in any particular order. Let us start with B. International Justice Group, IJG, that is asking the International Criminal Court, ICC, to investigate Monrovia City Mayor Jefferson Koji for crimes against humanity. Let us begin with my man, Moses, political strategist, aka Steve Boley. How do you respond to the request by the IJG?
Mr. Garley, sometimes I think because we're comfortable with each other as Liberians, sometimes we turn out to pay attention. I was listening earlier to the correspondent from Liberia, and he laid out something that I think is critically important that we should take back to as Liberians. This has been in the works. It has been in the making. It is not surprising or shocking to me. But what's surprising or shocking to me when I was reading the document today, the recommendation out there are a couple of things that were shocking to me, that were surprising to me, that I thought they would have concealed. In other words, they would have hidden from the public. But they did not hide it from the public. They made it public so that the public can be aware of what's going on. If I were George Weah, President George Manuel Weah, or Jefferson Koji at this time, I would be looking into not only seeking a serious lawyer, but seeking a serious deal and a serious chance. Because in as much that it is Jefferson Koji who has been recommended for prosecution, if you go down into the document that is presented to the courts, you will see that in bold writings, in most of the bold writings, there are some of the writings that are not bolded, but the ones that are bolded, you will see that majority of it directly implicates George Weah. For example, it states that President George Weah facilitates, enable, empower. That tells you that this is not a joke. This is not a joke. But there is another sentence in there that is a little tricky for me as I was reading. And that sentence is about the fact that the evidence have been, they have been presented to the evidence committee on the war crime courts. So in other words, these guys are evaluating this thing in order to pick up the young man Jefferson Koji for this. This is a serious thing. And I will say this to the Liberian people. This is not a Liberian issue. This has crossed Liberians' hand. And another note in there is that this thing came directly from Washington, D.C. after Jerome Verdier made a presentation of all the evidence. You remember that Representative Chris Smith, in his communication in December, stated something that was important. He said, we have credible evidence. Now, I stated this thing on your show before. I said, in English, it doesn't make any sense when you tell me you have credible evidence or credible allegation. Allegations are allegations. They can't be credible unless you have evidence to be able to prove that an allegation is a fact. So I knew in his communication he wouldn't say that they are indicted already or they will plead guilty. But what he was saying is that the evidence that were presented to them are so convincing to the point that they will take the next step. And I would say the George Weah-led government shoot themselves in the foot these few days when the protester went out. And I see Liberian people laughing. I see some people posting fake pictures and asking who stole our searches, who did this, who did that. People are taking it for a joke. Let me say this to the Liberian people. In America, where we live, and in the diaspora, where other people live, when the white people take your case from you and it becomes their case, my friends, your own case that you carry to them, when they take it from you and it becomes their case, you have no more say in it. The law will take its course. So I think we are about to witness something very spectacle. And one of the things I would say to the young man Jefferson Koji, honestly speaking, is he has age in his favor. I would say he should do the right thing and cooperate with them, provide evidence as much as he can. So
now, you are asking Jefferson Koji to strike a plea deal. When in response, yes, Jefferson Koji said he did nothing wrong. Jefferson Koji and the spokesperson for the government of Liberia said Jerome Verdier was once a member of the CDC. Now he has aligned himself with some opposition political parties. So most of the things that you're saying are far from the truth.
And this will corroborate my point, though. Let me say this. First of all, Jerome Verdier has been doing their work long before Jefferson Koji then show off on the surface to be Jefferson Koji or who he is. That's one. Number two, the evidence that Representative Smith from New Jersey talked about or mentioned in his communication to the public were not evidence of joke. Look, whatever Jefferson Koji said the other time to be able to exonerate himself was for the Liberian people. That's Liberian communication. You can come in your mouth and tell Liberian people, say, I didn't do anything wrong, everybody let it slide. In the court of competence jurisdiction, where Jefferson Koji will appear, there is no such thing, I didn't do anything wrong. You have to provide evidence that will beat the evidence that they have to prove that you did not do anything wrong. If Charles Taylor, I said this on Sekou Kane's show before, maybe the government didn't pay attention, that was maybe in August. I said this, I said the government needs to be very, very careful because evidence are being mounted against them. When they are ready to strike, there will be no way the government will come out of this. And I can say this for a fact, that there will be no way they will come out of this. Because remember Charles Taylor's case, Naomi Campbell, who chilled with Charles Taylor undercover, came out and testified against him. Look, the evidence that they will present against these guys that are overwhelming, they will not be able to beat it. So Jefferson Koji can come on the radio and say whatever he wants to say to the Liberian people, but he has to provide evidence to be able to beat whatever evidence these guys have.
The tough talking economist, activist, Martin K. and Garley. The IJG is asking for possible indictment, if not investigation, as it relates to the mayor of the city of Monrovia, Jefferson Tamakoji. How do you respond?
Before responding to the question, Mr. Garley, it is important for us to clarify some misinterpretations currently in the public, especially from the angle of pro-Jefferson Koji supporters. I heard one of them today saying that Jefferson Koji did not participate in the war, so how can he be charged for crime? It's important, Mr. Garley, for us to say that honor the ICC jurisdiction according to the Rome Statute that was adopted on July 17, 1998, which came into force 2003. There are 4 major types of crimes. The first is genocide, right? When you are targeting a particular racial group or ethnic group. The second one is war crimes. War crimes include murder, massacre, dehumanization, ethnic cleansing, deportation, unethical human exploitation, and so forth. The third has got to do with crimes against immunity, which the IJC, the International Justice Group, is recommending prosecution for Jefferson Koji. And crimes against immunity has got to do with targeting a certain group of people and attacking them consistently. And the last crime has got to do with crime of aggression. So tonight we just want to make that clarification that Jefferson Koji does not necessarily have to fight war before he is charged of crimes against immunity. But let me say this, it is a secret. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry for that, though, interruption. Go ahead.
I just want to say that it is an open secret that President Weah is presiding over a gangster paradise. As the facts are very glaring why Jefferson Koji must be indicted. And we fully support the action of the International Justice Group to make such a request to the International Criminal Court. There are a few facts to point to. Number one, let us look at the instance or the situation in District Number 10. That was the first led assault on a group of innocent kids. You can remember Mr. Garley had a party for children, right?
That's right.
Jefferson Koji instructed thugs from Sabo unit and Zebra unit to launch an attack on those kids simply because he claimed Yeke Koluba was critical of the SSS and militias of the government. The second attack I want to point to, Mr. Garley, justifying why Jefferson Koji should be called in for questioning or prosecution by the ICC, has got to do with the attack in District Number 13. The by-election that took place between Unity Party candidate Colina Cry and the CDC candidate Weah. Jefferson Koji was seen again in a green suit. The photos are on Facebook. He was seen in a green suit leading an array of thugs. And those thugs were armed with knives, cutlasses, and machetes. They disrupted the rally of the opposition. They wounded a lot of supporters, and it was alleged that people even got killed. Up to now, police is still investigating that matter. There has been no conclusive outcome. Let us go to District Number 15. The recent representative election between Tela Ure and Abu Kamara. There was another attack by thugs of the CDC again. All fingers were pointed at Jefferson Koji. People were wounded severely. Even the co-chairman of the All-Liberian Party was wounded to the point of death because of the brutal instruction given by this city mayor to some of his achievements after 2 years. Justina Taylor. Justina Taylor was for her. She alleged that she was raped by unknown men. Up to now, the LMP is still investigating that matter. We have got no clue as to what happened to Justina Taylor up to now. Whether she was injected, whether she was raped, whether she was assaulted, we are yet to know. at the Liberty Party headquarters when the opposition was launching its last day rally. Jefferson Koji had a press conference and he said he will meet protesters in flesh and blood. I was at the Liberty Party headquarters that day. After Jeff made that statement, Mr. Garley, in less than 1 hour, we saw a group of thugs running towards us on the float. I was on the float. I was the master of ceremony for that program, where supporters of the opposition candidates were celebrating because they had in mind that the people were going to vote their candidates. At that rally, Mr. Garley, people got wounded. About 3 persons were even admitted at the St. Joseph Catholic Hospital. They cracked down on protesters around the country, for example. So considering all of these instances, Mr. Garley, I think in Jefferson Koji for investigation. Investigation doesn't mean you are guilty. The International Justice Group is saying that it has all of this evidence, and the International Justice Group will be called as well to prove beyond all reasonable doubt allegations made against Jefferson Koji. So nobody should see this process as an attempt to wish on Jefferson Koji. No.
That's the voice. That's the voice of Martin Caden Garley making his presence known here tonight, and we'll also have.
There are evidence adduced to prove one's case.
Thank you, Mr. Garley.
The International Justice Group is insisting that Jefferson Koji should be investigated because he has gathered all of his proofs, and I support that call as well as an activist who left the country simply because R2 was attacked by these very same Turkish groups.
Okay.
The congressmen talk about.
Hold our thought. Hold our thought, Mr. Garley. Hold our thought. Mr. Bole, you said it's one thing to call the international community, and it's another thing for them to take your trouble as if it belongs to them. And you also said Jefferson Koji should do the right thing. The right thing meaning he should strike a deal now, because the evidence that they have on him, if they release those evidence, there's something that he will regret. Mr. Bole?
Yes, sir. Yes. And I stand strongly with those statements. I stand strongly with those statements. It is important for us to also look into communication, though. After reading the communication, there is something I pick up from that communication. It seemed more as though this communication from the IG is more like they are pushing. They want it to be hasty. They want it to be done fastly as a state of emergency. Because when you read in their session, it says one of the major things they said in this writing today, in this communication, is the government has no will and will not have the power to prosecute people who commit these crimes. Go back and read the communication. It is important for us to zoom on that. So that what it shows is that some set of justice, some set of deterrence need to be set in place. Now, in connection to my recommendation to Jefferson Koji, he must do the right thing. He must cooperate with these people to do the right thing to save his future. Not for the Liberian people. Now, this is him against the International Crimes Court. But there is something else I want to add on to this before I can close up on this point. This is just the humanitarian aspect of it. The recommendation for this prosecution. The question that has been running through my mind all day is this. They have not even talked about the Magnitsky Sanction Act. The representative has not spoken yet, considering the government defied the representative. That is important, and that was not in this communication today. The government defied the representative because the representative said that they are watching the June 30th protests, which were later postponed. to June 6th, to January 6th. So we have to understand that this is bigger. I believe, I want to say to the Liberian people today, I believe with all my heart that sanctions for money laundering and other things are coming on after this one. Let's watch and see.
Okay, we are on the outside looking in. Martin K. and Colley is seeking refuge outside of Liberia. Steve Bullitt is somewhere in Arizona. I'm in Detroit, Michigan. Mr. Habiba Clinton, a correspondent for British Radio and a journalist in Liberia. It is in front of your very eyes. All of these things are unfolding. And you heard from the IJG asking the ICC to investigate Jefferson Koji. What do you know so far, Mr. Clinton?
Yeah, this is not by surprise, Ashford. This is something that the ICJ have been alarming over the time from the inception of this government. And just of recent, somewhere around the December, like my friend just put it, before the action being released to the ICC, there was some statement that came up by the congressman as it relates to this saying Jefferson Koji men. And of course, and that statement was debunked. And it's always the case when somebody is accused, the accused will always be, they are like to deny the allegation. So it was just maybe something like creating an alarm for somebody to be very careful and walk in chalk line. Because if this continue, and this is not something like Martin just put it, all of those issues that Martin struck, the District 10, District 15, and even just of recent January 6th protests, all of those things are being, check marked. And they got some human rights advocacy ongoing here. They got people, human rights institutions are all seeing some of those things that are unfolding. So it's not something like people will be defensive of. It's just about being very careful and working, check mind and cooperate with the people. Because where it has reached, it's not about just denial.
Well, Martin and Bullitt are still on the International Justice Group. I want both of you to do 2 minutes, then we can move to the next segment before we go back to the field of play. I will begin with you, Martin.
It is important for us to say as well that the request of the International Justice Group needs to go beyond just calling for the investigation in Koji. We also need to call for the investigation and prosecution of President George Manawia, because he's the mastermind of these brutal atrocities against the Liberian people. They are not only physically attacking the Liberian people, but they are economically attacking the Liberian people. So we should take it from 2 angles. Look at the properties the president has of such mammoth property. Look at some of the properties they have. Samuel Twe, Nathaniel McGill. Nathaniel McGill and the speaker are taking competition. 2 of them now have like 3 compounds, just in less than 2-3 years. So we should also be calling for economic investigation against these people, Mr. Garley. When I was at the University of Liberia, several other times, Jefferson Koji unleashed talks on unarmed and peaceful students at the university simply because we were challenging the system. I led several protests. Jeff saw me as a major target of repression, so he would send talks from Sabu Unit and Zebra Unit every other day to intimidate, censor, harass, and chastise peaceful students who have disagreement with the government. On several occasions, classes were disrupted. There are photos to prove. There are pieces of evidence to show. So the International Justice Group is not just talking or calling for the investigation of Jefferson Koji because they want to make an international call or because they want their voices to be heard. No. There are proof, there are pictures, pictorial evidence, circumstantial evidence to indict City Mayor Jefferson Koji for crimes against immunity. Like I said, seditious are thinking people are talking about war crime, not war crime. A crime against immunity is different from war crimes.
Thank you.
Jefferson Koji does not necessarily have to participate in war because he's indicted by the International Criminal Court, especially under the Rome Statute. No. So, Mr. Garley, I think we also need to be calling for investigation of how these people accumulated all of these wealth in the shortest period. Today, Mr. Weir has over 40 exotic units. How he built it, when he built it, nobody knows. He has a 9-street skyscraper that is extending in the sea. How he built it, how he got money to build it, nobody knows. Mr. Twe has a compound in Benstown, almost opposite Ellie Taylor's residence. How he got money to build it in 6 months, nobody knows. Mr. Nathaniel Magee has 2 to 3 compounds when he could not even afford money to pay for rent of a room. How he got money to get those compounds, nobody knows. At first, he claimed that he took loan for LBDR. Can you imagine? So we need to go beyond. They shouldn't only start with Jefferson Koji. We should go for the other people too to investigate them. We are saying investigate. We are not saying they are guilty. There are allegations against them. Let's investigate to authenticize or to verify whether these allegations are true or not. That's what we are saying.
Thank you.
Overall, Mr. Garley,
thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Nigeria has transitioned from democracy to dictatorship.
Thank you, Mr. Garley. Hold our thought.
That government is a direct opposite of those basic values and principles of democracy. A direct opposite. Press freedom is under attack. You listen to Baptist Prelate recently. He described the Sabu unit as a terrorist group. You listen to the Independent Human Rights Commission. They said the government used force to disperse protesters.
Okay, Mr. Garley.
You listen to President We are describing his critics as enemies.
Let me hold you right there, Mr. Garley. We'll soon be going back to the freedom play. We got 2 more segments to touch before we leave. And let me give Mr. Bowley the opportunity to close on this segment. Then we can move on to something else before we go back to the freedom play. Mr. Bowley?
So, Mr. Garley, in a nutshell here, I think the Liberian people need to take this very seriously, especially the government. This is not a joke. And from what Martin Corley stated, I want to say it here to our audience here that in the justice system, most of the times, one of the strategies that is employed is they don't go for the big fishes or the big fish. They always use baits to get a certain people to look for the weaker vessel as part of the strategy, as part of the way to be able to ensure that they get the requisite information they need. So with that being said, I will say to President George Madam Weir that this is a serious thing, in as much that it is an allegation yet, but they are credible allegations with evidence. And I believe the US and other partners around the world, and even the ICC, trust the evidence and the communication of Jeru Vordier over what Jefferson Koji has said and what he will say. Remember Charles Taylor too. That being said, I want to say thank you on this session, and I look forward to the next section. Okay.
Again, thanks, guys, for being a part of this discussion that they have. And by the way, Liberia is in the lead, 1 goal to 0 against Liberia. George Weah has decided to sideline the opposition and, of course, the COP. He has instructed his security apparatus not to allow anybody to come on the field of play, not to allow anybody to leave the country. So it's like we are in a state of emergency right now as we play this political soccer game this afternoon. Now, What is the future of the vice president, Madam Joy Howard Taylor, with the CDC? She came in as the vice standard bearer of the CDC, bringing in the NPP, and that was a huge part that enabled George Weah to win the election. I can gladly state that she contributed immensely in helping George Weah to win the presidency with the NPP bloc, along with LPDP. She said she was not going to be a park card, and today she's more than a parked car. Let me start with Mr. Garley. What is the future of the vice president with the CDC?
Thank you very much, Mr. Garley. And I made my position very clear pertinent to this question in a 3-page analysis. I published a 3-page analysis. It is on Front Page Africa. It is also on The Perspective, Atlanta, Georgia. And the title of my position, or my thought, specifically to the impasse at the level of the ruling coalition for democratic change, the title is From Up to Down After 24 Months. Does Vice President Joy Howard Taylor have a future in CDC? But before dealing with your question, let me say this, especially to seditionists listening.
Martin, are you there? Mr. Garley, are you there?
2 different 2011.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead. You were off for a minute. Go ahead. We're listening to you.
Okay. Like I said, let me remind seditionists listening. Probably they have forgotten, but their party, CDC, at that time, it was Congress for Democratic Change. Before they could enter this coalition, CDC could not, in 2 democratic successive elections, they participated 2005, they lost. They participated 2011, they lost. The reason was because they ran alone as CDC. So the Joel factor gave CDC a victory. So Joel remains very key to the success of CDC even today. It is unfortunate that she's been mistreated. She's been ostracized and disrespected by a 2017. Of Lofa from Bapolu, part of Nima, it was because of Joel Howard Taylor, not because of George Weah. So Joel played an essential role in CDC's victory. That is the first thing I want to say. Going forward, today Joel was not present at the opening of the 10th section of the 54th National Legislature. The question is why? To answer this question, Mr. Garley, I've outlined 11 reasons why VP Joel Howard Taylor is on strike or is protesting. According to the Constitution, she should have been there today because she is the president of the Liberian Senate. And as president of the Liberian Senate, you are the presiding officer. So Joel should have been there to preside. Why she wasn't there? The impasse in CDC is deepening. The CDC is cracking, and the cracks are becoming visible. So let me just run through the 11 reasons.
So Martin, you are saying there are 11 reasons why you think the Madam Vice President is on the protest. She protesting, correct?
Oh, certainly. Of course, certainly. There are 11.
Okay, just before you give those just before you give those 11 reasons why you think she's protesting, let me bring Steve Bowler in to answer the question about the future of Joel with the CDC, and then you can give the 11 reasons. Mr. Bowler.
Thank you so much, Mr. Garley. I think from my standpoint here, the first thing I want to say is I will not support any woman being disrespected, whether openly or privately. I don't stand with that. I don't stand with any woman being dishonored. I think in as much that I do have some reservations with the vice president, because she has been quiet on some issues and on many issues, especially when it comes to violation in the nation of our children, both men and women, children as well. You know, I'm not in good stand with her because she has not spoken publicly. She has not publicly condemned some of these things, and she has not stood for women as we would expect. I understand that some Liberians will say, hey, Ellen did the same thing. But if we are going to change the trajectory in the future, knowing what she knows and her experience in government, she should be doing the right thing. I understand that this is politics as well, but you see, human being comes before politics. And so I would expect, and I'll open the challenge to her today to do the right thing. I will recommend also that in her protest of staying away, I will recommend that she speaks out now. She starts to speak out on some of these ill and condemn them openly. But again, I go with the stand that I believe that the CDC is the CDC at large, not just President George Weah. I believe these are part of the contributing factors that might make them not to succeed the coming next election. If only President George Weah stays in seat until the 12 years is over, until the 6 years is over. But here's the most important thing. I think the humiliation has been so much. This sideline, like we say in Liberia, this suppression has been so much on her, not only as a woman, but as a vice president. She has no voice. She has no authority, no command at all. We've seen the vice president once, why take initiative, but it also sends a very bad image of this government. It sends a very bad image of CDC to the world at large. It shows to some extent that, it corroborates that there is some kind of suppression and dictatorship going on within Liberia. But when it comes to the issue of her relationship with the CDC, I think it's done. I think it cannot be fixed. I think she is just hanging on and praying for something to happen or for some kind of miracle for this whole thing to be over with. But I don't foresee her, regardless of the political alliance. I think this alliance will be broken at the end of this 6 years or before even the end of this 6 years. With what she did today, it speaks volume of her relationship with the president, with the government, and with the CDC itself from the NPP standpoint. Thank you so much.
Mr. Martin K. and Garley, according to you, the Vice President, Madam Joy Howard Taylor, is protesting, and you have 11 reasons why you think she's protesting. Let you have those.
Thank you, Mr. Garley, for rejoining. It is important to say that it is sad for the Vice President to not have exercised a constitutional function
Martin, are you there? Martin. Martin Garley. Are you there?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. We're listening to you, my brother.
Yeah.
Speak. We're not hearing you.
So due to a network problem. Which I got the budget. I said the budget of Vice President Joel Howard Taylor for fiscal year 2018-2019 was $2,216,196 United States dollars. So her budget was $2,216,196.
We're having a terrible connection there with Mr. Garley. I don't know what the deal is.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, Martin. We're listening to you. We can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, you could not remit the total budgetary appropriation of the vice president. Up to date, we are still owing the office of the vice president $168,999 from last fiscal year. Minister Twe is yet to remit this amount. That's protest number 1. Protest number 2. The amount for her office in 2018-2019 was reduced from 2.2 million to 1.8 million. I want to be specific with the figures. Her budget was cut from last fiscal year, $2,216,196 to $1,837,246 this fiscal year, which is 2019-2020. So it means that the budget of the vice president was slashed by $378,900 fiscal year, which accounts for a % reduction or cut in her budget. That's protest number 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ashford, year begins in July and ends in June. And there are 4 quarters of our public financial management. Currently, in January begins the 3rd quarter of is yet to receive even 25% of a budgetary appropriation. That's protest number 4. So even make matter worse, even make matter worse, the 1.8 million they have reduced our budget to. They are now asking her of forcibly instituting a measure to reduce that 1.8 million again to 700,000 or to an amount between 700,000 and 1 million. So they want to cut off the 800,000 again after reducing our budget by 17%. Whereas the budget of the president remains constant, $2,105,000. The budget of Speaker Buffer Chimas remains $1,065,000. The budget of Senate Pro Tem touched and constant, $1 million. The budget of remains constant. So the state in court the vice president 800,000. So that's protest number. Mr. Garley, let me inform you that Minister Samuel Twe appropriation and incentives of Vice President Joseph or Vice President. The reason is very simple. You know why he has been withholding for incentives? As an ambition to run in 2023. So he wants to strangulate and dispossess vice ahead of 20. So the money in the budget for Vice President Joe Howard Taylor is not forthcoming. It's Samuel Twe, Minister of Finance, to further strangulate the office of the vice president to not function properly, so that we can choose him, Samuel Tuwe, as his running mate in 2023. Also, it is important to say that the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, Nathaniel McGill, holds similar view, as well as the NPA boss, the National Port Authority Managing Director, Bill Tower, because both of them too are eyeing the vice presidency in 2023 on a CDC ticket. So that's protest number 7. Number 8, you know, Mr. Garley, Joel Howard Taylor recently funded a foundation. It is called the Starfish Foundation, Joel Starfish Foundation. The president, Tuwe, McGill, as well as Bill Tower, they think that this foundation, ordinary political leverage or traction for Joel Howard Taylor ahead of 2023. So they are unsettled about the establishment of a new foundation, which has students on scholarship, implementing various projects, and so forth. So as a result of this, they are also withholding her immunities. Her immunities she's supposed to receive regularly to sponsor programs and projects. They are withholding those immunities and entitlements from her. Protest number 9. You know, 2 high-ranking government officials, Mr. Garley, they are heard on leak audios. They are heard on leak audios explaining an engineered plot by high-ranking members of the CDC to oust or to topple the vice president. The first was Esther Walker from Bon County.
That's right, the superintendent. Yeah.
Right. She is on audio, leak audio, explaining how McGill, Tuwe, and others are planning to ensure that the vice president is removed as tenor bearer of the coalition, as vice tenor bearer of the coalition for democratic change, and as vice president of the Republic of Liberia. Recently, the chairman of the party, Moba Malu, was also on audio explaining the very same plot about how they are planning to remove Vice President Joel Howard Taylor. So she's unsettled. She's unhappy about that. That's protest number 10. And the last protest, you recently saw the billboard that was printed, right?
That's right.
With Joel Howard Taylor.
Yeah.
Right. When you look at that billboard, I posted a billboard on my page. Look at that billboard, compare that billboard to the billboards that were printed during 2017 campaign period. When you look at billboards in 2017 during the campaign, at that time, Vice Tenor Bearer Joel Howard Taylor was seen neck to neck to Tenor Bearer George. We are on all of the bulletins, on all of the billboards, on all of the leaflets, on all of the flyers. Today, after 24 months, Mr. Garley, Vice President Joel Howard Taylor, who is the standard bearer of the governing council of the Coalition for Democratic Change, her photo is being placed below even
Molba Molu and Ellis Tyler. I think
Howard Taylor.
Yes.
Ellis Tyler's photo. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Ellis Tyler photo is above her. Molba Molu's photo is above her. Yeah.
Ellis Tyler photo is above Joel Howard Taylor's photo. Chairman Molba Molu's photo is above Joel Howard Taylor's photo. Weir's photo is the biggest and far above. Joel Howard Taylor's photos is far below and very small. That alone is a coup. You know, photo explains a lot. Image explains a lot. Photo interprets a lot. It says a lot. When you look at that photo, Mr. Garley, according to the arrangement that gave birth to the Coalition for Democratic Change, if you look at the article agreement between the three political parties, NPP, CDC, and LPDP, it's very clear. It says the highest decision-making body of the Coalition for Democratic Change, as was agreed upon in November 20, is the Governing Council. George Weah is the political leader, as well as the vice tenor bearer, so he's first man in command. According to the agreement or the law that created the Coalition for Democratic Change, is the political leader, is the vice tenor bearer. She's the second in command. The LPDP political leader, Eddie Stallard, is the third in command. The structure of the Governing Council, the three chairmen from the three various political parties are members of the council. The three secretary generals from the three political parties are members of the council. And you have one member each from each of those political parties as eminent member. That's the structure of the council according to the agreement. So for the CDC to have printed a banner and placed Muhammad Malu's photo above the second person in command, for CDC to have printed a billboard indicating that it will be going for a retreat, specifically in February between the 14th and 15th, and place the third man in command of the Governing Council above the second person in command. It's an affront, it's a disgrace of the Vice President. So she is also unhappy about that. And let me reveal further information.
No, just before you do that, Martin, you just stated the 11 reasons or 11 reasons why she's protesting. Let me bring Steve in, and then we can move to the next segment. Well, Mr. Bullock, you just heard 11 reasons why Joy Howard today is protesting, according to Martin Garley. Now, Joy does not feel that she's welcomed now with the Coalition of Democratic Change, the CDC. There are other political parties out there, and any attempt by Joel to part ways with the CDC, that would make it look good for the CPP or the Alliance of Political Party, the APP. What do you then think the political landscape will end up becoming, Steve?
Well, I think at this juncture, like Martin stated, those 11 reasons, I think they're factual and brilliant reasons for which you will see, as he stated, that the vice president is protesting, and that's a form of protest as well. But I think looking at the political landscape, if she leaves along with the NPP, which having to be a grassroots party in Liberia, with die-hard supporters as well as the CDC, that leaves the CDC with a very minute percentage that they might most likely will say, I'm looking at maybe them not even making the second round to some extent, because considering people are leaving the CDC now, even seditionists, those disenchanted seditionists that are disappointed and frustrated about how the party is being ran, they're leaving the CDC now. So that leaves the CDC with nothing. But let's come to the CPP and other opposition political bloc, as you stated earlier on. This is politics. And you see, I really don't like to say nothing can be done in the terms of deals. But I think if the vice president leaves the CDC right now, I think her next move would be to align herself with another political party. I wouldn't even be surprised if she comes to the CPP. I will not be surprised. And some people in here will say, oh, that can happen, this can happen. Well, in politics, there is no permanent enemy. Like Prophet Key would say, and other people would say, there is no permanent enemy. So, you see, a few days ago, looking at the Unity Party, for example, with everything that went on during the elections, we saw a photograph of Madam President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Vice President Joseph Boakai making amends and coming back together. So especially with the politics in Liberia, we can't say this is not possible or this is possible. But for one thing I'm sure of and I'm aware of is that the relationship with the Vice President now, it has become publicly. It's been shown that the relationship is soured, and I really don't think and believe she wants to continue with this relationship, because I don't know how far this coalition that they have has to run for, if it's for 6 years or beyond. I can't speak much of it, but I know for sure this might not end up good, and I'm very concerned about the Vice President. Let me say that. I've said it before. I'm very concerned about the Vice President, because we have seen how the CDC-led government does whenever you disagree with them publicly, or whenever you try to separate yourself from them or call out some of the things that they are doing, whether verbally or non-verbally, they tend to revert into violence or threatening or try to put you in harm's way. So I'm very concerned, and I hope and pray that she stays safe out there.
Well, Mr. Habiba Clinton, the president still maintains his fleets of vehicles in terms of the convoy. If you will notice that the vice president, the armor car, had not been sent down for almost a year, and she's struggling when it comes to gasoline. She can't even go to some functions because she doesn't have gas for her car. And for God's sake, she's the vice president of the country. You are in Liberia there on the ground. You see things on a daily basis. What do you know so far?
Like you just put it, the vice president convoy is completely reduced. From the onset, when this government came to power, there was too many excitement. You could see how the convoy plying the street, a very long convoy. Well, situation had already been sour from the onset, and this is not just a surprise thing. From the day they both were inaugurated, I think it lasted for just a month, and we begin to experience shaking of problems within the coalition for democratic change, and this problem have been a bit managed so that it cannot just be brushed up, but it's not manageable. So what we see here is not going to be the end. It will continue. And there have been too many opposition statements from National Patriotic Party chapter, the Bone, the Nima County chapter. They are not being ready to be satisfied and express so many disenchantment as it relates to how this council is being managed. And they are being led alone. Only a few group of people have been selected to gain in this government, which of course is not too healthy for them. So there have been some plans being made, but as much that he has not been put off hope. But we foresee that plan coming up very soon, the position statement, because 2023 election, I don't think the National Patriotic Party will be part and parcel of the Congress. I rest assured, Ashford.
Okay, Martin, just before we segue to the oil blocks, we didn't see the vice president today at the Senate, and she's not the only person that is not happy. Mr. Cornelius Hunter is a staunch member of the NPP, and you also notice that the Bond County caucus are also not happy. They are coming in defense now of the vice president. Again, just before we leave, want you to touch on this for the last time, then we can move on to the next segment. Martin?
Certainly, a lot of these citizens from Bond County and part of Lofa County, because those are
I think I did.
on President Weah and his CDC. I also read a statement from the diaspora chapter of the MPP. So this enchantment is setting in, and the CDC is cracking. Do not be surprised, Mr. Garley, that this CDC, you know, it is important to say, because I read a post from Mr. Cornelius Hunter. He's a leading and senior member of the MPP. And he was very clear about the manner of. He outlined a number of challenges facing the office of the vice president. He talked about no official armored vehicle. Imagine, the office of the vice president does not have an official armored vehicle. So the vice president could be in trap anytime. She's insecure. So they are not even giving her security. This is the extent at which the crisis is, Mr. Garley. For vice president of the country to not have an official armored vehicle, in case she is insecure and her life is threatened, what saves her? It is the armored vehicle, and she doesn't have. They have taken the armored vehicle from her. The next challenge has got to do with Minister Toy has defaulted on the payment of her lease. You know, usually they pay the lease for properties of the president, vice president, and so forth, and other senior ranking members of the government. Up to now, the money for her lease has not been remitted. They are delaying with processing the checks, as well as budgetary appropriation. And one of the major reasons, one of the major challenges Mr. Hunter also outlined has got to do with the refusal of the president to consult the vice president when he's taking key decisions, especially in the interest of the state. So on almost all of the decisions that have been taken by the government, specifically the executive, under President Weah, Madam Joy Howard Taylor has not been consulted to a very large extent.
Wow.
So she is also discouraged and disappointed for the fact that the government she made, the president, the standard bearer, has refused incessantly or consistently to consult her as the vice standard bearer of the party in terms of taking key national decisions. You know, so those are other challenges facing the office of the vice president. When you go on my post now, one of the staffers from the legislature just commented and said even the staffer transportation, the bus they had has broken down and there's no money for repair, no fuel as well. So you see how the vice president is being challenged. She's being muscled. I want to use the word muscled. She's being muscled by President Weah and his confidants, the kitchen cabinet. Why must this be, Mr. Garley? This is a sign of dictatorship. This is a sign of autocracy. This state is now transitioning from democracy to autocracy. And President Weah is becoming a black fascist, more than Benito Mussolini of Italy. And I want to say that the president is not only attacking the press, the president is not only attacking opposition politicians and opposition political parties, the president is not only attacking those of you who run regular talk shows and give critical positions and views. The president is not only describing some of us who are advocates as enemies of the state, he's not only attacking the church, he's not only attacking the student community, but the president is attacking his own vice president. This is the tragedy of the day.
Okay.
There is no leadership.
Thank you.
By the executive.
Thank you so much, Mr. Martin Corley.
For us on this question, whether Joel has a future. What is happening now is at the advantage of the opposition. But what is happening is also in some are going to build to our team. The executive meeting to go. So Joel's intent is how she found the acid route.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Corley. And of course, Thank you, Steve.
Information on George Weah. So the government will be further damaged. The image of the government will be imbued and mutilated because Joel has information from President Weah, some of his clandestine deeds against the state, how he has colluded.
Okay, folks, if you just joining us, this is Ashford Garley Live on Bridge Radio, where you're Monday through Thursday from 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time till later. And we'll begin the program with a political soccer game from 8, and then we take a break at halftime to bring in our panelists, our guests. Right now, we want to segue into the 9 oil blocks that are up for grabs under President George Weah. But we'll first visit the history of Nukai and visit the history of oil being discovered in Liberia. Martin has always been there. He's been there for a little over 14 years now into the Liberian politics. So he will walk us through as it relates to the genesis of the oil, especially as it relates to knockout in Liberia. Mr. Martin Colley, I want you to begin this segment. We'll go to Steve Boley. Our local correspondent, Habiba Clinton, is there. I want us to spend about 15 to 20 minutes on this segment and go back to the football field and conclude this game for the night. Martin? For the better reception, if you can please call the WhatsApp number, I would appreciate it, Martin. Call the WhatsApp number, and then we can call the WhatsApp number, and then we can conference in Steve from there, okay? Because the reception is bad with where you're calling from now. Okay, I think we'll wait till you hear from Martin to call via WhatsApp. In the meantime, Habiba, what do you know about the oil blocks, the 9 oil blocks that are up for grabs by this president? We heard on Sunday morning from talk show host Henry Costa alleging that President Weah has signed a deal to sell 9 oil blocks in one lump sum. What do you know so far, Mr. Clinton?
Yeah, this oil block, the 9 oil block in question, is not a surprise. It's something like the past government have been in negotiation. I think you can remember some years back, Sheriff and the Exxon were present in this country, and the negotiation was between the elite government and the Sharon company, oil company, and that negotiation did not go well. The lawmaker at that time did not come up with a conclusive, agreement as to how this whole oil deal could have hold. So it had been a delay tactic in the process. But this government is now using the mean because of the rapport they have with the legislature. I think they want to, that what I perceive, that they want to use this means to have this deal done.
Okay, thank you. Again, we're back with our panelists, Martin Colley and, of course, Steve Boley. Yeah, Martin, go on. We're on the 9 oil blocks now. Give us a little bit about the history of oil in Liberia. Let's go back to the genesis.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. We're listening to you, Martin.
Basically, the debate surrounding oil did not start today. It did not start today. It did not start on early. It did not even start on Doe or Taylor or Tobo. When we are discussing about the issue of oil, it's traced as far back as the 1950s, the 1960s, when the government of Liberia began to attract international oil companies to explore and discover some wells, some poor blacks in Liberia. But we managed to have taken a break because of the civil crisis. The prolonged civil crisis allowed most of those companies, those investors, to have left the country. So we resumed our oil business under the administration of Charles Garley Taylor, specifically when the national oil out of legislature in 2000. Hello?
Yeah, go on. Keep speaking. We're hearing you now.
Hello, are you getting me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So did you get the brief history I provided?
Yes, sir. From the 50s.
Yeah, right. So basically the National Oil Company was established through an act of national legislature under the administration of Charles Garley Taylor in 2000. And an act of legislation was passed to regulate the hydrocarbon sector of the country in 2002. Because the issue of oil is very critical. So you need a legislation, you need a law to regulate the sector so that crisis cannot evolve. Fast forward, we came to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Under the administration of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the government chose to tap on its hydrocarbon potential. The government chose to tap on its hydrocarbon potential. For the record, the country has over 33 oil blocks. Over 33 oil blocks. You have some of those blocks offshore. You have some of those blocks in deep sea, the continental shelf. So, our own problem under the administration of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was the fact that sufficient consultation was not done, and the legislature did not play its oversight responsibility in terms of creating the necessary checkmates to ensure that the National Oil Company was in order. We were in this country, Mr. Garley, when the government took 900,000 United States dollars, almost $1 million, just to 15 counties, to speak to citizens. Can you imagine 900,000? We were in this country when Chevron came to this country and gave $10.5 million for social development fund, specifically to the son of the president, Robert Sirleaf. Today that money cannot be accounted for. What I want to say here today, Mr. Garley, under the administration of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, our hydrocarbon resources, especially oil, were abused and misused. Resources collected from royalties and taxes, resources collected from the sale of seismic data, resources collected from and leasing agreements were misused, corrupted, and abused by the son of the president, Robert Sirleaf. It was unfortunate for the president to have said, after her son ran NOCA into insolvency, bankruptcy, the president said she took the responsibility. You know how much NOCA raised, Mr. Garley? Just for the view by the son of the president.
Hey, you might want to lower your receiver, please. Turn your receiver down. Turn the volume down, please.
Hello?
Yes, somebody has the receiver up. Is that Steve? Somebody got to please lower the volume of the receiver. Go ahead, Martin.
Yeah, so as I was saying, just the deal with ExxonMobil. When Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was in power, you know how many oil companies we had in this country, Mr. Garley? You have Chevron, you have ExxonMobil, you have African Petroleum, you have Anadaco. These are multi-million concession companies, oil companies, world global. They came to this country. They came to invest. The first thing is, when you come to any country to invest in its hydrocarbon sector, especially in terms of exploring oil or oil resources, you have to carry out what I call geological survey. That's the first stage. When you carry out geological survey, which is intended to collect data to know where a specific quantity of oil is, the next stage you do is what I call exploration. During the exploration process, Mr. Garley, you know how many platforms were mounted on our sea? All they could tell us was we didn't have oil in commercial quantity. After mounting those ships, after mounting those platforms on our sea, exploring our oil. So the next stage is exploration. When you explore and you determine that there is oil in this particular well or in this particular block at the level of commercial quantity, then you begin to drill, right? Just to even take the rig, because there's something in geology. I'm not a student of geology, but there's something called rig, RRG. Just for the rig to work one day on each of those platforms, it costs nothing less than 1 million. And no people have had those platforms on deep sea for months, for years. But they said there was no oil in commercial quantity. So they were operating at a loss. That was the question I asked Madam Sirleaf. Were they operating at a loss? At the same time, you were collecting royalties, millions of dollars. On one occasion, I can remember, African Petroleum, $1 million, 20 million, just to lease a share of one of those blocks that was occupied by Chevron, specifically Block 13. The government got 48 million from ExxonMobil. Where is the money, Mr. Garley? Chevron invested almost 38 million. Where is the money? Our people were not employed. Local content, for example, was not protected. Local content. When those companies come to your country, your people are employed with those companies so that they be a part of the investment process and benefit. Was never the law call for partnership sharing agreement. All of those things were violated, and the legislature was sitting there while Robert Sirleaf was looting. Robert Sirleaf is a millionaire, multi-millionaire. I say.
But Martin,
he's a multi-millionaire.
Martin,
and President Weah is refusing to order the government of President Sirleaf and bring people like Robert Sirleaf to book.
Let me hold.
After looting and bankrupting Noka.
Let me hold you there, Mr. Garley. Steve, you just heard Martin, something we already know. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the president of the town, said she would take responsibility when her son bankrupted Nokai. And the question that we all asked at the time is, Madam President, you took responsibility, but where is the money? George Weah, President Weah, instructed the folks out there to conduct the audit. Up to now, we have not heard anything. This guys keep calling. You know I'm doing live, and he's calling. And Mr. Bullet, this is it. No commercial quantity was found. Now we shouldn't just get excited again now that we heard about this 9 oil blocks. I mean, I get a feeling that we might find something because Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, has oil, and Maryland is not too far from the Ivory Coast. So Madam Sirleaf took responsibility. She's rich. Her sons are rich. Liberia is still poor. Liberians are still poor. President George Weah cannot recoup the money that was squandered by the Salus administration. Where are we headed? Steve Bowley.
Well, Mr. Garley, it's important for us to understand, based on some of the articulations and some of the things Martin has said, especially in regards to providing understanding to our audience about the initial discovery or experimentation of oil in our country. It's important to understand something, that this is not a joke. We know that there are some facts, because companies like Exxon's will not just come somewhere where there is bluff, where there is joke, you know, and these guys don't just come around like that. They don't come around. You would have done some good work to ensure that there is something. But when this, and I want to say this though, I want to say thanks to Henry Costa for bringing that to the public knowledge. Let me say why. Something triggered my mind when I heard about that. You see, these few days in America, the oil price, the gas price, and other things have gone up. And one of the reasons the gas price went up, if you check your local gas stations, is it went up from the day this general was killed in Iraq, the general from Iran. Automatically, the Iranians decided, you know, they're going to put some strong things going on there. So the attention now comes on to us. Why is it that at this point, at this junction, these guys are willing to let's say, sell our product without the Liberian people's knowledge, but rather do these deals undercover with the House of Representatives and legislature? Why this time? Is this something that has been in the making for a while that we didn't know about as a people? Is this also something that will be the replica of what we saw where in Local today, I would say pretty much has been destroyed? You know, no credibility, no way for them to recover from the hit they had from Madame Seli's song. Now, the only thing I can say here to the Liberian people is this. Our legislators need to speak out for us. Not only that, this is not something that we need to be quiet on, because it has the propensity to affect the future generation. You know, these are reserves. These are things that the country, the nation should benefit from. You know, our children and unborn children should benefit from. Even the young people in Liberia now, the different sectors that we are talking about, investments, money from these things, funds that will be generated, taxes and other things should come towards the Liberian people, for the Liberian people to benefit from some of these natural resources. And so this is a serious debate that there's a serious conversation that I think we as Liberians, we should be having all over the place, and start creating awareness to not only the international community, to the general public, to our partners, that these guys want to. Look, we cannot be fooled twice. Any them play that thing with us and they took away huge amount of money without us knowing. We cannot sit around and allow the George Weah-led government to do the same thing, because you know what? At the end of the day, you should rest assured that few envelopes will be passed around and the masses will suffer again. So what we need to do is to create this awareness. I hope and pray that we can continue this conversation on every platform, continue to talk about it, provide knowledge to the Liberian people, and ensure the House of Representatives and the Senate this time are responsible that they will not sign any kind of deal undercover, you know, because this is criminal in nature.
Mr. Habiba Clinton.
Mr. Garley.
Yes. Let's go to Habiba first, then you can come in and continue from where Bode left her at. Habiba, you were in Liberia. Now you're hearing about the possible exploration of 9 oil blocks that President Weah. What are you hearing so far?
Well, the negotiation between government and it personal, like we could put it in that way. Liberian people have not really been aware of what's unfolding, just of recent. And there have not been no enlightenment. And one of the major problems we do face in Liberia is about many of us are not really, you know, in details of some of those issues that unfold in government. And like what we just discussing this morning, it has something to do with just of recent people getting to know that these deals have been, you know, have been put through, but it are not being workable. But it could be workable if and only if the lawmakers CD to push that forward based on their own interest or self-aggrandizement. So I think what should be done in Liberia is not about protesting against the executive. The legislatures need to take some of those blames, and some of those protests need to be redirected to the legislative branch so that people get to know what's unfolding. I think if they take that train, it will be a very fine thing. And this whole issue of an oil thing, executive should not just be always blamed for that, but our legislative branch has a major problem, Ashford.
Martin Garley.
Mr. Garley, thank you very much. What I want to say here clearly is that President Weah is working in the shadow of Madam Sirleaf when it comes to opening the oil sector of the country. In 2012, when the government of President Sirleaf decided to open the oil sector to investors and investment, I asked a major question, and that question was, do we have the capacity in terms of human capital or manpower development to manage our hydrocarbon sector? Have we trained geologists? Have we trained engineers, civil engineers? Have we trained mining engineers? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. We're listening to you.
Hello?
Go ahead, Martin.
Yeah. So the question was, do we have environmentalists? Do we have oil experts? It will interest you to know that they could not answer that question. Why was all this rush, Mr. Garley? Why were they in hurry? They were in hurry to steal. Because a lot of the people in the country were ignorant to the hydrocarbon sector. Why was all this rush, Mr. Garley? Why were they in hurry? They were in hurry to steal. Because a lot of the people in the country were ignorant.
You might just want to turn your monitor off because you are distracting yourself and you're distracting everybody else.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead now.
Yes, sir. So Mr. Garley, why were they in hurry? Why was the rush on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to open our oil sector when we didn't have trained manpower? You know where we're taking manpower from, Mr. Garley? From Ghana. Ghanaian geologists were coming in. South African civil engineers were coming in. Nigeria's mining engineers were coming in the country. In the entire country, Mr. Garley, we only have a single geology program at the University of Liberia. So why couldn't we preserve our hydrocarbon sector for the future until we train more men and women who are capable enough of presiding over the sector instead of entrusting the sector with foreigners? That was one of our major concerns. But because people wanted to steal, they could not listen, including the legislature. The legislature did not use its oversight responsibility to checkmate Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and her children. So you saw how they looted the country. Fast forward to President Weah. Like I said, President Weah is walking in the shadow of Madam Sirleaf. That was the same thing Madam Sirleaf did. President Weah is about to be his own. The entire Liberia, Mr. Garley, has become 3 Gs. Get, grab, and go. Get, grab, and go, 3 Gs. The entire country. When a new administration comes, those in the new administration come to get, grab, and go. President Weah now has released a statement inviting potential bidders. Potential bidders. He has opened 9 oil blocks. 9, not even 1, not even 2, 9. When we do not even have the capacity to preside over our own bidding process, we have to send for experts to conduct our bidding process before carrying our lease in the hydrocarbon sector. So we do not have the capacity. Our oil sector is so vulnerable. They're almost looking at a suggestion to have made when he talked about the mineral resource swap. You call in the Chinese to come and go to Wologisi, right? We want to do business with the Chinese. But I say Chinese people depending on to go and do assessment at the mountain to determine the value and quantity of iron ore in the mountain. The same people you want to do business with, they will cheat you because you don't know what they are doing. Anything they tell you, you accept it. So we don't have the capacity. So I was more concerned about human capital and manpower development. Let's train our people first before we open this oil sector. That was my concern. Let's treat our people first, because our own people will not deceive us. Experts will deceive us from Ghana. Experts will deceive us from South Africa, because they could easily connive with those investors to deceive us, because we don't even know what they call seismic data. We don't even know how to analyze seismic data to determine the quantity of oil in a specific well. So those were my concerns, and we began asking those hard questions. But they called us critics of the regime yesterday. These some of us poured in jail on Aaron Johnson twice, simply because we're telling them the truth. Today, here we are. Here we are today. So you asked a very good question, Mr. Garley. Where is Rahul Seli today? He was implementing all the projects, building stadiums. He was building latrine, public library. Where is he today? Since he left government, he has not even built a single paid latrine. Today he's a multi-millionaire. The Seli family, they have millions and millions of dollars. President Weah has refused to order them. He said he's related to them, so he can't order them because he himself wants to eat his own. He's about to eat his own now for the non-all black. He has opened for bidding. So when people begin to pay bidding fees, when people begin to pay royalties, taxes, on leasing agreements and so forth and concessions, so then he can get a own half share in some of those blacks, and then he becomes a multi-millionaire as he's already. So where are we going, Mr. Garley? What do our people stand to benefit? What do they benefit on early? And what do they stand to benefit from the non-core black that they are opening for bidding? So we keep moving in circles. Moving in circles.
Now, where do you stand, Mr. Bullock, with these lawmakers? Because they are the ones that are that have the oversight responsibility when it comes to these concession agreements. Where do you stand with it? I mean, we would need some responsible lawmakers. Now, the way things are, they are just there to grab, get and go, according to Martin Corley. They fight hard to get in the house. By the time they get there, you know, they go and sign those booklets, concession agreements, and next thing you know, they pocket the money. Liberia continues to suffer. You know, that there's no medical facility. You get sick. If they don't take you to Ghana, that for those who can afford it, you die. You know, people are dying from preventable diseases. You know, when we have these resources, I think they should be used to take care of the sick people, to find jobs for the locals. But it is not the case. A handful of politicians come to power, elections after election, and it's all about themselves. Steve?
Yes, I think I'd side with your broadcaster from Liberia, Mr. Abibu there, that it is critically important that some of these protests be targeted towards the lawmakers as well. And in saying that, it shouldn't be a joke. It shouldn't, because look, it's sad to say that we started to have the conversation about the printing of this $4 billion to infuse into the economy. Out of a sudden, these guys went and signed and agreed for this to be printed. So this tells you that in as much that the executive is not functioning as they should be, but the underlying people that are the major problem are the lawmakers in there. And that's why there's a statement that I was listening to Darius Dillon on Sunday. There's a statement he made about the upcoming elections. Because this government, like Martin was saying, they are strategic in criminality, but they're not strategic in doing the right thing because they choose not to. So that being said, Mr. Dillon, Senator Dillon said that come October, the second week in October, if there is no elections done, he will resign. And I wrote on his live feed, I said, this is a good strategy. How I wish, you know, every senator that is up for run for this term would do the same thing, or almost every senator will resign as well. Now, what am I trying to say behind this? These guys know what they are doing. The government knows exactly what they are doing. And I agree with Martin too, that they're replicating. They saw that the Liberian people did not do anything when Ellen said she took responsibility. President Ellen Johnson said, nothing happened. We are no Liberian people. We will just make noise about something today, tomorrow, we forget that different thing will all again. Because we ourselves, to be very frank with you, we are not consistent in what we want. This time around, we should target the House of Representatives and the Senate. We should. The House of Representatives and the Senate should be targeted because they are our problems. They are our problems. They have not been keeping up. They have not been living up to the standard. The only person, the only two people I really see publicly speaking, maybe others are speaking undercover, but I will urge them to start speaking out now. Will be Darius Dillon and Yeke Kolba. And sometimes I hear people say, oh, Yeke Kolba is too disrespectful, he's too disgruntled, or too this. Look, let me say this to the Liberian people on here today. Representative Yeke Kolba does not have a problem. You see, when a man's passion, people think this man is angry. He is not angry. This man is expressing his passion for the Liberian people, for the House of Representatives to do the right thing. This man is expressing that passion. You see, God, that man acting the way he is acting. You understand? So we need to put fire behind the House of Representatives. When I say fire, because I know Liberian people, the question is type of people. I'm not saying go put a house or go put a place on fire. I am saying that pressure needs to be mounted on them for them to do the right thing, or come the next election, 2020, let some of them be voted out. Please don't vote these guys in again. These guys, these women, they are not serious. They are not serious. Thank you, Mr. Garley.
And Martin, you can do a follow-up to that question about the irresponsible lawmakers we have in both the Senate and the House of Representatives.
Most of our lawmakers are not only irresponsible, but they are corrupt, compromised, rubber-stamped, and reckless. Most of them are puppeteers and bootlickers. That's why I said the other day, Mr. Garley, Liberia has a legislature of indigenous vampires. Of indigenous vampires who only care about themselves. And that's who they are. And I agree with my brother. I agree with my brother in your whole team, Morovia, that a lot of NJ and focus need to be on the legislature. That should be the focus, because according to the Constitution, the president does not have the power to impeach any lawmaker, but lawmakers have the power to impeach the president and remove him from office. So the power the legislature has is more than the power of the president or the executive. Why are they misusing such power or abusing such power? Were the Liberian people stupid to have elected them? It's really sad, Mr. Garley. It's really, really sad. Look at the situation of the printing of new banknotes. Most of the concessions that go to the house. Look at the Imboma loan, for example. Look at the Eton loan. Those two loans are failed loans. They were passed without any due diligence or oversight. Look at the quality of lawmakers we have. Almost all of them need to be changed, except for few, Mr. Garley. And this is why I want to call all Liberians, this coming midterm senatorial elections, we should vote them out. We must, and we should vote them out. They have been serving their own interests for the past 9 years. Enough is enough. This is the time to utter this national nightmare. Enough is enough. They will say there again, President, we will use them because they are compromised, and those 9 All Blacks will be paid for without due diligence and compliance with international standards. They will be sitting there, Mr. Garley. Our national legislature is by far the weakest, REAKEST, in this region. In my opinion, Mr. Garley, we only have one branch of government. I want to be very clear on this platform tonight. We only have one branch of government, in my opinion. The other two only exist in absentia. They are not existent. They only exist in the Constitution as per the Constitution. But practically, they are non-existent. We only have one branch of government, and that is the executive, a government. The legislature is compromised. Look at the extent at which the legislature is compromised. When last year I heard speak of over 2 months disagreeing with Judge Weah, that the question I want to ask on your show tonight, Mr. Garley,
Never.
When last you have heard Buffer Chambers, the speaker, disagree with President Weah?
Not at all.
When last you have heard Senate Pro Tem Albert Kier disagree with President Weah? When last Albert Kier has disagreed with President Weah? So my own point is the legislature is just as useless as most of those lawmakers. And I have no regret for making some of these strong statements.
Thank you, Mr. Garley. With that, I think
I
we'll
have
bring.
no regret to an extent that I even want to suggest a unicameral legislature instead of a bicameral legislature, because there is no need to have two horses, two useless horses. Honor Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, 68 Bukos concession agreements. Yet we claim we have a legislature. What's the essence of having two horses? What's the essence of having a bicameral legislature? We should just have one horse with few members of critical people who can checkmate the president, so that we save some of the millions of dollars we are spending. Just last fiscal year, the budget of 103 lawmakers, we spent 49.2 million. Why are we spending that money for them to be signing Bukos concession agreements and compromising the interest of the Liberian people, Mr. Garley?
Thank you.
Why are we spending that money? So I prefer a unicameral legislature with just probably 38 lawmakers who are critical and scrutinized during election. Before you go there, we must know who's going there. We need to remove most of the people. Remove most of those people and send people of integrity, quality, and worth to the national legislature to represent the interest of the country and the Liberian people. Too sad, Mr. Garley. Sometimes I literally cry internally and bleed within for our people. Our people are suffering too much. Our people are suffering too much, yet they claim to have leaders. Are they really leaders or they are rooters? In my opinion, the latter will suffice. It's really sad, Mr. Garley. Really sad.
Thank you, Mr. Garley. And I want to say a big thank you to you both for taking the time of your business schedule just to form part of the discussion tonight. And Steve, you and Martin, just 1 minute each, then we'll go back to the field of play and conclude this political soccer game between the Liberian national team against the Liberian national team, because George Weah refused to allow the opposition to come on the field of play. George Weah also refused to allow the COP to come on the field of play. The Liberia is in a complete state of emergency now. Anything George Weah wants, he gets, and this is where we'll find ourselves now. So Steve, 1 minute, Garley, 1 minute. We'll go back to the field of play, conclude this game, to be back tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Steve.
First of all, I want to say thank you again, Mr. Garley. Thanks to Martin. And thanks to the broadcaster from Liberia. Thank you, Mr. Abibu. Thank you so much.
His name is Habiba Clinton. Habiba,
Mr. Clinton, thank you so much for being on here. I want to say thanks to the Liberian people for listening. This is a good discussion. I believe we should be having this kind of discussion to create education, awareness, and also to stimulate some things in our people to encourage them to do the right thing. That being said, I want to say, I want to predict something for the next few weeks for this government as my closing statement. I believe this government this year will face the biggest challenge it has ever faced in its administration. And that will be in terms of not only the international community, but also the rising of the people. So the government, and I also want to say to the president that he has the opportunity to do the right thing, but also I believe he will not do the right thing, and the people around him will not do the right thing. And Molu issue has not gone away yet. The Liberian people should keep their eye open, because that will resurface very, very soon. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Mr. Steve Bullitt, for showing up at a very short notice. Mr. Martin Garley, 1 minute in your closing statement, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garley. I want to appreciate you so much for your passion, your energy. You continue to infuse into this program. This program is educating thousands of Liberians. Thank you very much to you and your co-host from Liberia, Mr. Clinton. Thanks. Thanks to my brother, my very brilliant brother Steve. He made some very brilliant suggestions, and his thoughts were unique. But basically, Mr. Garley, what I want to conclude on is the fact that the CDC was and the CDC remains a premature political project. And I want to repeat, the CDC is a premature political project. It is unfortunate that we didn't abort the CDC in 2017. I would have even preferred miscarriage, but the Liberian people did it. The Liberian people did it. Yeah, we, Mr. Garley, honor a government, honor a political leader and a president who is an emblem of contradictions. He has no integrity. His appetite for wealth is high. Sadly, he's into a marital political affairs with the legislature to pillage the resources of the state, undermine the interests of the people, impugn the dignity, honor, and integrity of the republic. It is really sad. I want the Liberian people to listen and listen very well. This is the time. This is the year we must stand up. Every day I go to bed, like I told you the other day, Mr. Garley. Every day I go to bed, my foremost thought is how we can end this premature political project called CDC. How we can alter it in accordance with Article 1 of the 1986 Constitution. How we can alter it. Our people are really suffering. You know how many people called in today, Gentleman Moreover, explaining their ordeals? Very pathetic. A lot of our people have become beggars. Liberians have become foreigners in their own land, whereas foreigners have become citizens. They have the leverage, the privilege, and they continue to abuse our people. Liberians are the most abused and miserable group of people on planet Earth, simply because we made a risky choice. We experimented with a footballer who didn't tell us anything. They could not go. His supporters said education was not important. But just a few weeks ago, they were celebrating an educated doctor at the JFK who performed an operation for the very first time on the brain. They say education is not important, but they're celebrating educated people. It's a contradiction, it's an irony. You say education is not important, but you're celebrating a doctor who went to school, Dr. Harvey, and performed a brain surgery. You know, so going forward, Mr. Garley, I agree with your co-host in Liberia that we need to focus on the legislature. When we focus on the legislature, the president can be impeached and removed. If we have serious lawmakers, then we have another opportunity again this year to elect 15 new senators of integrity, wisdom, loyalty, patriotism, and nationalism. Another opportunity again has come, Mr. Garley. And this is why I appreciate you so much for using your platform to educate our people and tell them the power they have as citizens to decide their own social, economic, and political destiny.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Spend a lot of time educating them. So I just want to say thanks. Thanks to all of the people listening. I appreciate the concern of some of them who continue to call and ask me how I'm doing. I'm safe.
You know this platform. You know this platform has become your home now. You know, so any day, anytime, feel free to come on. We need to go back on the field of play, and thank you so much for the time, Mr. Garley.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, with the voice of Martin K. and Garley, and of course Steve Bullitt tonight, folks. We're gonna go back to the field of play right now. Liberia is still up 1 goal to nothing. Back to the field of play, ladies and gentlemen. Telling the ball comes to George Weah. George Weah to Selected Justice. Selected Justice back to George Weah. George Weah to Akaras Moses Gray, aka Opion King Kong. Opion King Kong back to George Weah. George Weah to Corruption. Corruption back to George Weah. The ball comes to Wasteful Spending. Wasteful Spending back to George Weah. And the ball comes to Illegal Arrest. Illegal Arrest back to George Weah. Molu gets a better hand back to George Weah. The ball comes to False Promises. False Promises back to George Weah. Abuse of power. Abuse of power back to George Weah. The ball comes to Nepotism. Nepotism back to George Weah. The ball comes to Witch Hunt. Witch Hunt back to George Weah. Oh man. Play-by-play description this afternoon. SKD Sports Complex in Painesville. 1 goal to Liberia and nothing to Liberia. Oh man. Joshua beats woman. Beats the second man. The ball comes to police brutality. Police brutality to murder. Murder to starting to a rapist. Starting to a rapist to harassment. to hypocrisy, to death squad, to suppression. The boy come to provocation, unemployment, hard time. Please pay my way. The boy come to boyo to wiabola, onto stupidity. The boy come to bad lucky president. You can't get no investment to come to the country because all about greed. It's all about yourself. You don't care about the common people in Liberia. They voted for you for nothing. Today, George Weah feels he's the king of Liberia. What George Weah wants, George Weah gets. He's about to sell the oil blocks now. At the end of the day, Liberians will be poor, will be spectators in their own country. What a wicked president. The boy come to dictatorship. Dictatorship to George Weah. George Weah sits far downfield. So womanizer about the George Weah. The boy come to alcoholism. Alcoholism to George Weah. Onto prostitution. Prostitution about to George Weah. The boy come to drugs abuse. Drugs abuse to George Weah. The boy come to stupidations onto false promises. False promises to illegal arrest onto wasteful spending. The boy come to corruption. Corruption to money laundering. Money laundering big man put on the team. The boy come to human rights abuse onto D-Ho cover hole to Sabo unit. Eugene Nangwe back to old man. Way off the crossbar. And first I'm afraid that's how we come to the end of today's game. One goal to Liberia, nothing to Liberia. Goal coming from the leg of George Weah. True and assist of D-Ho cover hole. Until tomorrow evening, let us now bring on Habiba Clinton. My man, how are you able again? We have two important panelists tonight, Mr. Martin K. and Garley, and of course, Mr. Steve Boley. Mr. Habiba Clinton, we want to say a big thank you for what you've done and continue to do for British Radio in Liberia. Your parting comments.
Well, I would just like to commend you for this brilliant creativity by crafting another means of telling people that this government is gearing to dictatorship, because all of those that we saw playing, they are all associated with the president, and that's part of his characteristics. So I think he should be thinking in a better direction. Have a better day.
Thank you. That's the voice of our correspondent, local correspondent in Liberia, Mr. Habiba Clinton. They're from Dupero, Liberia, making his presence felt tonight on BritishRadioAfrica.com. Again, folks, we're live on the internet at www.BritishRadioAfrica.com. If we go through the stocks here, we see people locking in from Ukraine, from Dubai, from Iraq. You name it, the world over 25, 30,000 people go on this site every day to learn something about Liberia. And a big thanks again to Habiba Clinton as he continues to update us on the website with stories from Liberia. In the meantime, folks, if this is your first time on this platform, all you have to do is just follow us so that subsequently when we come, you will get that instant notification. Until then, I'd like to say a big thanks to our producers, our engineers for getting us on the radio. We'll see you tomorrow night from 8 p.m. To later on BritishRadioAfrica.com. Until then, please allow me to borrow the wordings of the wise man. Before that, I want to say a big thanks to our many viewers, those who all help in sharing the video. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here for the last 2.5, almost 3 hours, just to listen to issues from your country. And your inputs were very important as well. Those who take time out to get in the keyboard and to read a few comments, want to say a big thank you to you as well. This platform is for Liberians, whether you're sedition or whether you form part of the opposition. You want to come on the show, that you have something to talk about, just feel free to contact us, and of course we'll reveal the platform to you. Until then, tough times don't last, tough people do. The heart of a man is never known until he rises, and there's no second chance to make that first impression. The Liberian man will say, don't see okra and shallow bone, because you can't hide your naked there from bathing bucket. When God bless you, don't see that medicine. This has been yours truly. As for the giant, the brother who doesn't eat iron, but he's definitely stronger than a lion. That's why they call him the giant that now you know me, Garley. Have a good night.